What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, we kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. Our brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away.
Greatly fucked.
This is bigger than ourselves, we won't let the world burn away, burn away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To blame, hate is face the world's mistake.
Hey daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok.
I saw that. He's also being investigated over that porn he shared, right?
Thank you for watching
During a meeting?
Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just
He's going to
incredible.
the private side.
I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome everybody. I am Will Bird, and this is the Cold Beer Confessional. Yeah, we covered him when he was a bunch of things. So, like, he was buying the Trump Bibles. He was trying to force prayer into school. He accidentally showed porn during a Zoom meeting. And now he's going over to the private side. I think they referenced it as a teachers union against teachers unions or some shit. I don't know what the fuck he's doing, but he's getting the hell out of there. He's not a great guy, dude. And then, what was it? The school superintendent in Des Moines was arrested by ICE. Have you guys seen that? That's just happened over the last few hours. The school superintendent in Des Moines, Iowa, is from, was it Ghana? He is an immigrant. He was arrested by ICE, and ICE claims that it was an early morning. They tried to perform a stop on him. They identified themselves as ICE. He ran. This is their claims. I don't know how much this is true. He ran, and they found his car abandoned and said it had a firearm and $3,000 cash in it and a hunting knife, which I went and found the what did I find? His profile on the school system's website, and it was he was an avid hunter. I don't know if that's what the hunting knife has anything to do with. And the school says that he had he did have a record for a gun violation in his past that had to do with a hunting rifle. Not like they made it sound like maybe he had a rifle out during bow season, or maybe he crossed a road in Tennessee, it's illegal to cross a public road with a loaded rifle. Even during hunting season, you have to unload it, cross the road, and then load it back. Or they made it seem like it wasn't super serious, but I don't know. I know that protests broke out in Des Moines. Actually, I could probably find that. Hold on. What's up, everybody? Welcome. I'm Will Bird. This is the Cold Beer Confessional. If you're just joining us and you don't know who I am, we talk politics and social issues, all kinds of stuff. Super intendant. Let's grab this link. We'll try it. Let me get some audio.
No doubt, but we ask you to bear with us, and we won't be able to address further questions at this time. And so with that, I'll turn this over to our school board chair, Jackie Norris.
This is the Des Moines Public Schools, and it's their superintendent. So basically the guy, you don't get much higher than superintendent.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the Des Moines Public School community, I want to provide an update from district leadership and the board on the current situation unfolding with our superintendent, Dr. Ian Roberts. Before we begin, it seems fitting to take a page.
This was the conference was only 6 hours ago. I think all of this happened this morning. And then protests broke out about 5 after this press conference. Protests broke out
of Dr. Roberts' book and ask the community to engage in radical empathy as we work through the situation together. Radical empathy is the recognition that we can disagree and still empathize with each other. The respect of others' humanity. This concept will be essential as we wait to learn more.
Yes. for his home country. He was an Olympic track star for his home country.
We do not have all the facts. There is much we do not know. However, what we do know is that Dr. Roberts has been an integral part of our school community since he joined over 2 years ago. During his time with our district, he has shown up in ways big and small and has advocated
Guyana,
and begun introducing concepts that will help us reimagine for future generations, education for future generations of Des Moines students. Here's what we also know. Dr. Roberts joined us in July 2023 and has held educational leadership positions in districts across the U.S. for 20 years. The Iowa Board of Educational Examiners issued Dr. Roberts a license to serve as superintendent in the state of Iowa in July 2023. There is new information that has been made public that we did not know, and we have not been able to verify as to whether that information is accurate. I'm turning it over to Interim Superintendent Matt Smith.
Again, they're going after these violent criminal, drug dealer, rapists.
We stand firm with our community.
The guy looked like he was doing a good job. I don't fucking know.
Many of whom are feeling sad, outraged, and helpless. We understand as we too are devastated by the news of his detainment. However, this does not stop our important work, and we will continue to provide outstanding education to the students in our community. Know this, we have protocols and processes in place to address this type of situation. We have leaders who will continue to show up in a way that communicates care, empathy, service, and action. We will lead with love and care for the dignity of human beings in Des Moines and across our country. This is challenging on many levels, and the reality is that we may not have additional answers right away. However, the strength of Des Moines Public Schools is in its people, our leaders, educators, and staff who will continue to advance the mission on behalf of our students and families as we wait for clarity in what comes next. In the words of Dr. Roberts, if you paddle together, you will survive the tide. If you paddle alone, you will likely drown. As we move forward and learn more, we choose to paddle together.
So that's his assistant that is now the acting superintendent.
Ms. Maria Alonso.
En nombre de la comunidad de las escuelas públicas de Des Moines, quiero proporcionar una actualización del liderazgo del distrito y la Junta sobre la situación actual que se desarrolla con nuestro superintendente, el Dr. Ian Roberts. Antes de comenzar, parece apropiado tomar una página del libro de Dr. Roberts y pedirle a la comunidad que se involucre en una empatía radical mientras trabajamos juntos en esta situación. La empatía radical es el reconocimiento de que podemos estar en desacuerdo y aún empatizar con los demás. El respeto de la comunidad de los demás. Este concepto será esencial mientras esperamos aprender más. No tenemos todos los hechos.
I don't know if they do anything after this or if it's just...
Sin embargo, lo que sí sabemos es que el Dr. Roberts ha sido una parte integral de nuestra comunidad escolar desde que se unió hace más de 2 años. Durante su tiempo, todos los Estados Unidos.
I don't know. If you need the Spanish translation, I apologize. But...
Su detención. Cuidado por la dignidad y personal que...
All right, here we go.
As I mentioned, this is a legally complex and developing situation. We're not in the position to answer further questions at this time. We'll certainly be providing updates and address additional information when and if it becomes available on this. But we are sorry that we're not able to answer questions right at this point in time. We do appreciate everybody's coming out and your attention to this matter. And with that, we'll conclude. Appreciate it.
And that was it. They didn't take any questions. They didn't do anything. And then this happens.
Developing news from Iowa. The Des Moines school superintendent has been detained by ICE. This is a targeted enforcement operation that we're just learning about, okay, in Des Moines, Iowa. All right, so here's what happened. Again, getting back to Broadview, Illinois in just a moment. So this is interesting because it's ICE related anyway, but the school superintendent is from Guyana, and ICE came in and has detained the superintendent. The district leaders just had a news conference, and they wrapped up that news conference moments ago saying that Ian Roberts, that's his name, was on an expired student visa and was given a final order of removal May of 24. So we'll see how this goes. Iowa.
Imagine how hard the immigration process is that this guy can't fucking get through it. Like, he's an outstanding member of his community, the school superintendent. He can't get. What the fuck is going on with it?
Public schools website says he was born to immigrant parents from Guyana and spent most of his childhood here in New York. So he, for the most part, grew up here in New York City, is what we're told. Parents are from Guyana. He also is a former Olympian, for what it's worth, competed for Guyana, I believe, in the 2000 Olympics in Sydney. He was a track and field athlete there. DHS officials say that he tried to evade arrest. That's the only other piece of information we have on that. In Des Moines, Iowa, protests now breaking out outside of a federal building in Des Moines.
Pee-wee German.
The school superintendent, a guy by the name of Ian Roberts, who comes from an immigrant family from Guyana, happened to have been a former Olympic athlete, track and field in the 2000 Sydney Games, was detained today by ICE, okay? We're still efforting some of the details on this. Expired student visa was mentioned. Again, details to come on the detainment. Protesters, however, upon hearing about that, we reported it earlier in this show, have now taken to the streets of Des Moines. Again, he serves as the school superintendent for Des Moines Public Schools. Ian Roberts, protesters are out there. See some of the signs that they're holding up and what have you. It's a larger conversation now after what happened, of course, in Dallas. Congresswoman Julie Johnson joins in, a Democrat from Texas, member of House Homeland Security. Welcome back to the show, Congresswoman. I mentioned kind of before the break that, and we've heard a lot of people say this, rhetoric needs to come down. Obviously, tension is going to be high on one end of the political spectrum. When a story like this comes out, people are taking, in this case, to the streets in what appears to be a peaceful manner. On the other side, we heard from some of the law enforcement officials in your state the other day saying that the rhetoric against law enforcement officials, ICE agents, and the like should be lowered. What's your take?
I think just, political rhetoric in this country is out of control, and it starts at the very top with the president. He consistently uses very violent language when talking about Democrats and progressive causes. And just didn't even go back to January 6th and the pardoning of all those people who he called heroes with the violence that they started. It's just been escalating and escalating and escalating. And it's just inappropriate. And what we really need is for everyone on both sides of the aisle with any position of any kind of leadership or voice in this country to tone this down. This is not who we are as Americans. We don't settle our disputes this way, and it's just completely unacceptable.
Sometimes I feel like we're making progress on this. And after the Charlie Kirk shooting, for example, we had what I would describe as so many constructive conversations where you almost feel good about yourself after. So, maybe we're going in the right direction, And then something else happens, right? And if I interview a Democrat like you, often I hear comments like that, as you just articulated, and I get your point on, how the president speaks. If you interview a Republican right away, they say, well, they're calling us all Nazis and that kind of thing, and that can lead to violence, So you wonder, like, how do we get to the quote-unquote better place from there?
Right. Well, I think it starts with, coming back to where you actually have respect for our democracy and respect for people on the other side and handling yourself appropriately. This president, has a scorched earth policy. He pursues his political enemies, pursues anyone that doesn't agree with him, that doesn't toe the line in a very heavy-handed way. And I think you're seeing that manifest in a lot of disruption and with young men feeling like they can take disputes into their own hands behind the scope of a gun. And, it's really, it's just at an epic crisis, I think, in this country. We can't resolve our disputes this way. We can't encourage it, praise violence, acknowledge heroes and this kind of stuff. It all needs to be universally condemned strongly and unequivocally by everyone.
Well, this is the way to do it, right? I mean, knock on wood, what's going on in Des Moines right now? Okay, so I don't know the details of the story. It's just breaking today about, why the school superintendent was detained. But the people in Des Moines now who disagree, presumably, with that are out with signs and they're voicing their displeasure. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to speak for all the signs they're holding up and things like that or what they may be saying because I can't hear them. But, we've also seen other cases where the blame has been put on the people who are doing the detaining, like the agents who are probably just acting on, they're trying to carry out policy rather than making the policy.
Well, I think you've got some folks that take it to the extreme, within the ICE agent scope of things. Sure, there's agents that are just trying to follow their orders and do their job and do it the best they can. And I've certainly interacted with a large number of those who work for Homeland Security and who are just doing, have been career service with that agency through multiple presidencies and are just doing their job as law enforcement the best they can. But what's happened too is they're paying $50,000 bounties. They've lowered the age to 18. They're hiring some kind of Rambo wannabes, and there's people who are abusing their power, and and we see that on video in this age of instant video. We see ICE agents knock women down and tackle them very violently. And
I've got that video is disgusting, and there are people in political office and running for political office that are trying to defend it. Like, don't fuck with us, and this won't happen. That video is fucking disgusting.
And abuse their power with how they're detaining folks in a way that
we'll watch it after this one.
Inappropriate. And ICE isn't doing enough.
You just don't want people shooting at them either, or that kind of thing. Right.
But that's not how we do. To your point, we have a right of peaceful protest. There are avenues to express our displeasure with the government. But shooting people isn't the way to do it.
Yeah, come on. Can we go to something we can agree on, right? Okay, Congressman, good to talk to you again about all these things. And in Des Moines, that's the way to peacefully protest so far. Thank you for watching.
I'm sure he doesn't seem like a dumbass, right? I'm sure that when he got probably before he got his removal order, that he was in the process of some type of citizenship. He came here, student visa, and that's all we know. All we know is that he originally came on a student visa and that it obviously expired. We don't know at what point in the process, because they're arresting people that are at the last fucking step, that are showing up to become citizens. So we have no idea. All they released was that he originally came here on a student visa, and they're claiming that he doesn't have work authorization, even though he was hired by all across the Atlantic seaboard. Like, he's worked in D.C. and New York and St. Louis and like all these fucking school systems. But apparently he had no work authorization, and that he's been arrested. So we don't really know, except what the little bit the administration has given. But we know how the administration likes to play it, right? Give as little. The smallest piece of information that makes the person look the worst, and spread that out. That's the only thing they'll confirm. Let's see if I can grab that video I was just telling you about. Here it is. This guy's name, let's see, who is this guy? Derek Evans. Derek Evans for West Virginia. This is his official account. Running as a politician in West Virginia. Derek Evans for West Virginia. Let's see. Former member of the West Virginia House, former January 6th political prisoner, Christian, husband, father, real estate investor, farmer. Evans for West Virginia. Pardoned. So this is the guy we're talking about. And his post says, the left is mad that this ICE agent shoved her when she refused to let go of her illegal husband. Okay? The claim is she refused to let go of her illegal husband, who was being arrested outside immigration court in New York City. These are foreign invaders of the United States of America. Stop interfering with us. First of all, imagine your husband got arrested out of the blue. You didn't think anything was wrong. It was just fucking suddenly. I think she's right to be upset and voice that she's upset, right? To anybody that'll listen, including the police. Now, to the claim that she was holding on to her husband. Where? Where? Where is she holding on to her husband that is preventing ICE from doing their job? It seems like she's very upset and she's voicing this concern to this fucking rent-a-cop here. That's what it seems like. Her husband's not in the picture. She doesn't touch her husband, grab her husband, hold her husband, won't let go of her. None of that's true. None of that's true. Everything he said in the tweet, left is mad that this ICE agent shoved her when she refused to let go of her illegal husband who was being arrested outside immigration court in New York City. I don't even know if he just made that up. Because we don't, in this clip, that doesn't exist. We don't even see her husband. Anyways, here's a clip. It's fucking brutal. So she's upset. He's trying to control her arm. She's trying to shake him off. He just keeps saying adios, adios, and pointing. Right? Her husband's not here. The guy with the mask on is clearly not her husband. And the grunt style t-shirt, that's an ICE agent. Yes, this guy got fired, and the right is mad about it for doing his job. Any fucking law enforcement in the world should be able to do to be able to handle a situation where someone's upset that their partner, significant other, child, mother, father got arrested. Like, this is fucking insane. Imagine your significant other got arrested. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? You can't do this. Don't do this. Like, he didn't do anything wrong. And they throw you up against the fucking wall. And this is when cameras are everywhere. Imagine when the cameras aren't. He knew. I mean, it wasn't hidden cameras. It wasn't security cameras. It wasn't a body cam that he didn't realize was recording. Like, he was willing to do this with 30 fucking cameras pointed at him. What does he do when there aren't any cameras around? And they're defending that. And then the guy gets fired and they're defending him. He was just trying to do his job. That's all we need. You guys forget that they're an illegal invasion of our country. First of all, something's going on with her because she wasn't arrested, right? So how can you say that she's illegal? Wouldn't she have been arrested? Second of all, when the fuck can you just throw somebody? Like, what the fuck is going on? An Immigration and Customs enforcement officer who shoved a woman into the wall and then pushed her to the ground has been relieved from his current duties. An ICE official said Friday. The incident was caught on camera Thursday at an immigration court in New York City, fueling outrage as more families across the U.S. get punished after showing up to their immigration court hearings. Again, something dirty that previous administrations haven't done is show up to immigration hearings. Why? Because all you do is encourage them not to show up for their hearings. The officers' conduct in this video is unacceptable and beneath the men and women of ICE. Department of Homeland Security Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said Friday, our ICE law enforcement are held to the highest professional standards, and this officer is being relieved of current duties as we conduct a full investigation. So I guess he hasn't been fired. He's basically on administrative leave, but he's doing something else, right? He's probably working a desk job until they figure something out. CNN has asked to clarify what relieved of his current duties means and whether the officer is still employed elsewhere within ICE. The woman and her family have open asylum claims, according to the office of U.S. Rep. Dan Goldman, whose district includes the courthouse. They are here lawfully, but are being targeted by ICE regardless, a spokesperson said. Goldman and New York City Comptroller Brad Lander, a frequent ICE critic who has been arrested for trying to prevent ICE from arresting migrants, have referred the ICE agent to the U.S. Attorney's Office for felony prosecution, they said Friday. In one video shared on social media, Monica Morita Galarza and her daughter are shown clinging tightly to their husband and father as he's being detained in the hallway of 26 Federal Plaza, the ICE detention office in Lower Manhattan. A masked agent grabs the mother's hair as someone says, just grab her, and pull her away. Marita Galarza wails as officers wrestle her away from her husband. Moments after she's separated, she is taken from the hallway into a nearby room as her son and daughter watch, the video shows. It's unclear how long she stayed in the room. The video resumes with her in the hallway speaking to a federal agent, saying in Spanish, "You guys don't care about anything." As the woman pleads with the agent, he replies, "Adios, adios." The agent then grabs her and forces her several feet down the hallway into a wall. He continues serving her down the hall and pushes her to the ground. The agent stands over her and says, "Leave," in Spanish, and asks nearby officers to remove her from the building. Video shared by other news outlets captured the interaction from different angles. In one video, court security officers were seen escorting the woman from the scene. When I arrived outside the courtroom, they stopped my husband and they told us we couldn't move, she told CNN affiliate WXTV. They encircled us, then they slammed me against the floor. They grabbed my kids and dragged them away. They slammed me against the floor and caused my head to slam against the floor. Everyone from ICE fell on top of me. A spokesperson for the New York City Mayor Eric Adams said in response to the incident that the city is less safe when immigrants are afraid to use basic services and attend court hearings. Like so many, we have seen the upsetting images of the federal agent appearing to shove a woman whose husband had just been detained by ICE to the ground, and we are pleased to hear that this incident is being investigated, spokesperson Liz Garcia said in a statement. The mounting backlash against the ICE agent's actions include top officials in New York City who are speaking out against his conduct, with some urging prosecutors to take criminal actions. Goldman and Lander said the footage reveals the officers' flagrantly egregious conduct, which they claim is an apparent violation of the federal code on deprivation of rights under color of law, a federal crime, according to their news release. In this case, the officer acting under the color of law willfully used excessive physical force by throwing a young mother to the ground and thereby deprived the victim of her Fourth Amendment right to be free from unreasonable search and seizures. CNN has contacted the U.S. Attorney's Office regarding the felony prosecution referral. Lander is working to help Marita Galarza and her family obtained legal assistance according to the release. New York City mayoral candidate Mamdani is among officials condemning the ICE agent's actions, saying Friday he was shocked both by what occurred and the fact that we knew that the act is taking place every day across this country, oftentimes unseen, unnoticed, unabashed in its cruelty. It's important that we describe it accurately and that we stand up to it, Mamdani said. The mother fled violence in Ecuador. Of course she did. Immediately after the incident, she and her 2 children and a pastor rushed to our office for safety, Goldman said. The mother was then rushed to the hospital for possible head trauma, where our office called ahead to ensure she would be treated. Goldman will be looking into whether the ICE agents could face potential felony prosecution, his spokesperson said. In a statement on X, Goldman welcomed the news that the ICE officer had been removed from his current duties after the outrageous assault against Monica and her children. After the incident, she told reporters that she had fled violence in Ecuador, only to be subjected to violence in the U.S. Over in Ecuador, they beat us there too, she said. I didn't think I'd come here to the United States and the same thing would happen to me. The family is now planning to sue ICE for excessive use of force, said Father Fabian Arias, who accompanied her on Thursday. The husband has been transferred to a detention center in New Jersey, Arias said. His fate remains unknown. That's insane, dude. That's fucking insane. With all these fucking cameras and shit, everything, like how many different ways could this have been handled? Even if he's got to put hands on her, physically walk her to a security guard and say, I want her removed from the building now. Like, what the fuck is this? It's like he went from 0 to fucking 400. Just boom.
Adios. Adios. Adios.
It is September. If you guys want to subscribe, there's a discount on all subs. Even if you buy like 3 months, 6 months, a longer sub is still discounted the entire time. I think it's about to end though. End of September. So I'm guessing that's her daughter and son that are trying to pick her up off the floor. How disgusting. God damn, dude. I don't understand how that's not hard to watch for people, or why people are fucking. I don't get it. People are like, gotta let them do their job. These people are animals. Oh, I saw a can we play that? It's probably a copyright strike, isn't it? Let's move on for now.
Y'all, the police, conservative Republicans have lost.
This happened in Tennessee here.
Fucking mind. They are now arresting people for posting memes that quoted Donald Trump. Let's get into it. So yesterday in Tennessee, a former police officer was arrested because of some memes that he had posted on Facebook. I'm going to show you the memes right now.
What do you think those memes are? The one that he was arrested for was a quote from Trump. A direct quote. This first one says, Tony, Charlie Kirk died, and then it says, who gives a shit?
I mean, just look at this shit.
They need to release the Epstein files, change my mind. That was the second one.
Completely normal Facebook memes. The first one, completely normal.
So this is a Trump quote after a school shooting. When he's speaking in the area, he says it was horrible, it was tragic, but we just have to get over it. So the quote says we have to get over it.
The second one, obviously completely normal, something obviously conservatives hate right now. And then this is the one that they supposedly arrested him over. Look at this.
It says this seems relevant today. We have to get over it. Donald Trump on the Perry High School mass shooting one day after. It's a direct quote. We have to get over it.
Yes, we have to get over it. A quote from Donald Trump. I'm going to show you the quote right now. So this is what Trump said after the Perry High School shooting in 2024. He said, I want to send our support and our deepest sympathies to the victims' families touched by the terrible shooting. It's just horrible, so surprising to see it here, but have to get over it. We have to move forward. And they went and arrested this man. Let's see what they arrested him for. So they charged him with threats of mass violence for.
There are no comments. There is no extra. There is no caption. These are the only three things he posted. And they arrested this man for threats of mass violence.
Quoting the president of the United States in a meme and posting it on Facebook. And they said concerned citizens had called them. You think these are the same citizens that pay extra for a don't tread on me license plate or fly the don't tread on me flag? You fucking cowards.
Rob 5,252 just resubscribed for 30 months.
Thank you for the resubscription. 30 months. Thank you.
Been telling us for 2 decades that you don't want the government to tread on you, and then y'all don't have shit to say when a former police officer is arrested for posting Facebook memes.
It's 100%. Yes, he's a U.S. citizen. It's 100% retaliation. He was posting these memes in a Facebook group that was organizing a local vigil for Charlie Kirk. He's a former police officer. Larry Bouchard Jr., 61, a former police officer, posted a meme of President Donald Trump in the Perry County Community Group page. So the Perry County page. As members of that page were organizing a vigil to honor Charlie Kirk. In response, Bouchard posted a meme of Trump that featured a photo of the president with a quote he gave just one day after the 2024 mass shooting at Perry High School in Iowa. We have to get over it. Donald Trump on the Perry High School mass shooting one day after the text of the meme read. However, members of the group interpreted Bouchard's post as a threat against their local high school. No, they didn't. Nobody in their right fucking mind interprets that as a threat. Someone in that group is friends with fucking cops, right? And they want to make an example. Investigators believe Bouchard was fully aware of the fear his post would cause and intentionally sought to create hysteria within the community. Perry County Sheriff Nick Weems told the Tennessean. As a result, Bouchard was arrested early Monday morning and charged with making threats of mass violence on school property and activities. Again, no comments. He didn't put any comment. He only posted memes, and the only fucking text in the meme was a quote from Trump. And it's on a Charlie Kirk vigil. Well, how the fuck does that have anything to do with the school? He is currently being held on bond in Perry County Sheriff's Office in Lexington. The Perry County Sheriff's Office and the Perry County school systems take all threats of violence seriously. Even a threat, every threat is investigated thoroughly, and charges are pursued when evidence supports them. The Perry County Sheriff's Office told WSM-TV. Creating mass hysteria in our community will not be tolerated. Weems told the Tennessean, we will continue to act quickly and decisively to protect our students and our citizens. Again, you saw what it said. It literally said, we have to get over it. A Donald Trump quote after the Perry school shooting. The meme Bouchard posted is commonly cited, quote, utilized by anti-Trump advertisements or gun violence prevention activists. It's been posted across various social media platforms dating back to January 2024 when Trump initially gave the quote. Weems told the Tennessean that Bouchard also allegedly posted multiple hate memes referencing Kirk's assassination, but said they were not against the law because they were considered free speech. Hate memes are when someone says Charlie Kirk died and someone says, who gives a shit? Bouchard's arrest is just the latest to occur in connection with the fallout from Kirk's death. Multiple people across several states have faced repercussions for, quote, celebrating Kirk's assassination with disrespectful remarks or actions. Members of the Trump administration have said they will go after those who incite violence in response to Kirk's death. One side that they can say incited violence. They won't go after all the right-wing people saying it's time to fucking kill the liberals. They're demons. We got to take them out. They're coming for us. A pair of sisters in Arkansas was arrested and charged after vandalizing a Kirk memorial. A man in Arizona was arrested for wielding a firearm outside the arena where the memorial was being held. Others have lost their jobs for making posts on social media condemning Kirk or being unsympathetic toward his death. Kirk, a conservative activist, co-founder of Turning Point USA, was assassinated on a college campus. The person suspected of killing Charlie Kirk is currently in custody and charged with several crimes, including aggravated murder. That blows my mind.
Quoting the president. You people make me sick.
The don't tread on me crowd. Still doing a whole lot of treading, huh?
I've been taking the advice of some people online, and I've been doing my own research about vaccines and stuff, and here's what I've come up with.
Good deal.
Again, this is my own research on vaccines. This first graph here, this is the number of living Kennedys, number of members of
the number of living Kennedy family members from 1980 to 2000. Okay.
Family that are alive at any given time from the year 1980 to the year 2000. The number of alive Kennedys here. And then this graph is the number of reported cases of autism from the year 1980 to the year 2000.
Okay.
Right. So as you can see, I don't know if it's necessarily.
God damn it, dude. You're going to tell me that's a coincidence?
But if we combine these here, you can see that there is a clear link somehow between the number of living Kennedys and the number of cases of autism. I don't know exactly how it causes it, but maybe we can do some more research into this. Thank you.
Clearly that's what causes it. What about potentially bombing the UN headquarters in New York City?
This is an insurrection. And what we need to do is either leave the UN or we need to bomb it. It is in New York, though, right?
Yeah,
Could be some fallout there.
Yeah.
All right.
Trump started a massive investigation. Hold on. Trump tried to start a massive investigation over what he claims that he was attacked at the UN. Over insurrectionists attacked him at the UN, okay? Let me grab it. Hold on. Here we go. I'm going to read the post. A real disgrace. This is from the President of the United States, okay? A real disgrace took place in the United Nations yesterday. Not one, not two, but three very sinister events. First, the escalator going up to the main speaking floor came to a screeching halt. How fast does an escalator move? And how fast does something have to be moving to come to a screeching halt? It stopped on a dime. It's amazing that Melania and I didn't fall forward onto the sharp edges of these steel steps face first. It was only that we were each holding on the handrail very tightly, or it would have been a disaster. This was absolutely sabotage, as noted by a day's earlier post in the London Times that said UN workers joked about turning off an escalator. The people that did it should be arrested. Then, as I stood before a television crowd of millions of people all over the world and important leaders in the hall, my teleprompter didn't work. It was stone cold dark. I immediately thought to myself, wow, first the escalator event and now a bad teleprompter? What kind of place is this? I then proceeded to make a speech without a teleprompter, which kicked in about 15 minutes later. The good news is the speech has gotten fantastic reviews. Oh, thank you, Gen X, for the algorithm gods. Thank you. Which has gotten fantastic reviews. Maybe they appreciated the fact that very few people could have done what I did. And third, after making the speech, I was told that the sound was completely off in the auditorium where the speech was made. That world leaders, unless they used the interpreter's earpieces, couldn't hear a thing. The first person I saw at the conclusion of the speech was Melania, who was sitting right up front. I said, how did I do? And she said, I couldn't hear a word you said. This wasn't a coincidence. This was triple sabotage at the UN. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. I'm sending a copy of this letter to the Secretary General, and I demand an immediate investigation. No wonder the United Nations hasn't been able to do the job that they were put in existence to do. All the security tapes at the escalator should be saved, especially the emergency stop button. The Secret Service is involved. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump. But it was his own people.
After suggesting Donald Trump's technical fails at the UN were sabotage, an investigation has found the culprits were embarrassingly from within the White House. An official videographer who ran ahead of the US President and First Lady.
So a videographer ran ahead on the escalator backwards, was standing there backwards, and when he got off, he bumped the emergency stop. He was going to record them coming up the escalator.
Lady accidentally triggered the stop mechanism of the escalator, and it turns out the broken teleprompter was being operated by one of the president's own staffers.
And the teleprompter was being operated by his staffer.
Turns out the broken teleprompter was being operated by one of the president's own staffers. After suggesting Donald Trump's...
Can you explain how you calculate?
Subscribed for 32 months. Thanks for all the laughs.
Thank you, CA Crafter. I appreciate the resubscription. I appreciate it. So he thinks that he's been triple sabotaged by the UN, and it was all his own people. It was all his own people, and he's ordered a full investigation. I love how when the escalator stopped, they act like they were confused with how it. When an escalator stops, it becomes stairs. It's not like you're in free fall on a fucking elevator. It's just stairs then, and they're all just like, "Wait, you expect us to walk?" Yeah, or use the one beside it. It's still working. Like I don't fucking understand what's going on here.
After suggesting Donald Trump's technical fails at the UN were sabotage, an investigation...
Look at this near-death experience. By the way, they were on the flat part.
...has found the culprits were...
Or at least Trump was. I think Melania was up one level.
...within the White House. An official videographer who ran...
Trump never even got past the flat part.
...ahead of the US President and First Lady, accidentally triggered the stop mechanism of the escalator. And it turns out the broken teleprompter was being operated by one of the president's own staffers. After suggesting...
Anything to make it seem like the deep state or whatever is attacking him. Always, no matter what, always he's under attack because they're coming after him because they don't like what he's doing. All right, now I want to cover something kind of different. You guys remember the story? It's a horrible story about Uvalde school shooting. I didn't know this until literally 2 days ago. Because we were fucking lied to. My recollection of the story, when someone brings it up, is that a teacher stepped outside to use her phone, and I was under the impression for like a personal call or a smoke break or something. Wasn't true. And that when she came back, she left the door open, propped open. So the shooter just had to pull the door, right? It was propped up. It wasn't latched because there was something preventing it from latching. I was under that impression. The news told us that. The local sheriff's department told us that because they were trying to get all the heat off their back when they stood there for 77 minutes while the fucking kids were all massacred. They even doctored the video and didn't release the footage of the teacher coming back in. They did it with her going out and putting the rock in front of the door so she could get back in, but they never showed us the video of her coming back in. It's weird. And all of that was a lie. So, the door is an auto-locking door, like it's supposed to be at a school, right? If you close it, it locks. Now, that wouldn't have worked if there was something blocking the door, a rock or whatever. The teacher does go outside to make a phone call, and it's because she's already seen the truck and the gunman in the parking lot. I don't know if you guys remember, but he wrecked into the parking lot, like into this ditch-like thing, and then comes up with a gun into the school. Okay? She's running out to call 911. I'll tell the story. She comes back in and shuts the door. For months, there had been request forms put in to fix the lock on that door because it didn't always activate. For months, that door, they knew that sometimes it locked and sometimes it didn't. Not only did she go outside and call 911, we were told that when she came back in, she went directly to her classroom, locked the door, and turned off the lights. That's also not true. She used what little bit of time that she had to warn everybody around her. The other teachers, the students in the hall, everybody, that there was a gunman, to go hide, he's coming. Which is terrifying to even think about, but here's the video.
Life is just never the same after you're blamed for a national tragedy.
I remember seeing this video, and we were blaming her for the door.
It was in the days after a gunman stormed through a door that was supposed to be locked and murdered 19 children and 2 teachers at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas, when a waking nightmare became a living hell for Amy Marin.
This is the one that was so bad that all the fucking cops just stood in the hallway. They knew the gunman was in this classroom. There was 2 doors to get in. They could hear shots being fired. And they just stood there while the guy was in there killing kids. Because nobody could come up with an idea that they would be 100% protected by going through the door. The cops needed any fucking heat off their back, and they used this woman.
Franco.
My name is Stephen McCraw, Director of Texas Department of Public Safety. The exterior door where we knew the shooter entered was propped open by a teacher.
It was.
That's the cop lying right there. Letting you insinuate that the only reason the shooter got in was because a teacher left the door propped open. And they, to this day, they're still hiding the video. CNN had to get this video a different way. They're still hiding the video because they said it's ongoing investigation.
Just lie after lie after lie after lie. All I was saying was I closed the door, I closed the door. I kicked the rock and I closed the door. They thought they were going to get away with it.
What's been the hardest the last
few years?
Even though I know the truth, feeling the separation because of the blame, people are still believing that.
You think so?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I see it every day. Every day. You can feel the division. You know, you can feel the people that are, she left the door open.
How do you convince people?
I am looking for a specific video. They've shown bits and pieces, but they've not shown the entire video.
The head of the Texas DPS, he eventually apologized for the mistake, but to this day, the department, they're blocking the release of the video. Amy is so desperate for people
To this day, they're still blocking the video release.
to see.
Have you seen this angle?
No.
It shows Amy running outside with her cell phone after she witnessed the gunman crash a truck behind the school.
I'm calling
And they didn't even tell us that the reason she was going outside was to call 911 because she knew what was going on. She was the first person to call.
To say a
So
truck
I'm
crash.
running. I'm running to the scene.
United County 911. Yes, there was just an accident right here behind Rob's school.
She is among the first to alert police a shooter is headed toward the building.
Oh my God, they're running. I don't know why. Oh my God, he has a gun.
She rushes back inside, kicks away the rock that held the door open, and pulls it shut. But from inside that building, there was no way to know if it is locked.
They can't even, so this is a faulty lock, and inside it's just a push paddle, right? It's a paddle style door that you see at most schools to where everybody can get out, but you're not supposed to be able to come in. You can't tell if it's locked because whether it's locked or not, that push paddle will still let you out. The only way to be able to tell if it was locked was to be outside pulling on it to ensure it's locked. There's no fucking way for it to tell. And the lock had been written up for months.
CNN recently uncovered maintenance records that showed there were problems with the lock on that door a month before the shooting.
You think the door's closed here, locked, right?
That door is locked because it's always supposed to be locked.
Amy immediately begins warning others and yells for kids to get into their classroom.
Okay, back to New York.
After 3 minutes, she walks into her own room, turns off the lights, and shuts her classroom door. Just a few seconds later, the gunman easily opens the same outside door and makes his way into the
same door the police walked through without a key, without anything.
4th grade classroom. Police swung open the door 3 minutes after.
3 minutes response time, and they stood in the hall and listened to him kill all those kids. At some point, you have to be, I'm the guy, right? I'll go. Okay, I might get shot. Cool. There's definitely people being shot right now.
By then, it was too late. The shooter would remain inside the room for 77 minutes.
The way he just walks in, like...
When you see this and you see yourself given the warnings, is there some reassurance, or how do you feel?
I want...
It's bad, dude. I fucking had a goddamn meltdown when I covered. Some of the cops are stepping outside to call their wives and tell them what's going on. Like there's an act, you can hear gunshots being fired in a 4th grade classroom. And some of the cops are stepping outside to call their wives, tell them they're going to be late because there's a school shooting. While they're literally stacked in the hall, ready to make entry the entire time.
The whole world to see that I did not run straight to my room to hide. I was warning everybody that there was a shooter on campus. I did not stand around like all those 376 officers did. I was warning everybody to get in their rooms.
And certainly the teacher that went back for her cell phone, it propped it open again. So that was an access point.
There he is lying. And that's what we all heard and believed because the news cycle's so quick, right? She went back outside to get her cell phone and left the door propped open.
The subject used.
How do you feel when you see him?
Total failure. I don't care to look at that man's face. If you want to believe that, then go ahead and believe it, but I have the proof right here.
They're still, in a statement to CNN, the Texas Department of Public Safety said, The video can't be released because it's currently held as evidence in a pending criminal prosecution. They can't release the snippet that exonerates her. CNN had to use a different way to get this, right? They will not release the part where she closes the door. After a series of CNN reports, the Uvalde School Board hired new lawyers and backed a legal push to make the video public. But it's tied up in courts now. That's insane. I remember hearing the story. I remember covering the story, and I'm like, what the fuck? Leaving doors propped up. Because I've seen them do that at my kid's school. It fucking freaks me out. Have the doors propped open, and then, like, when it first goes to spring or whatever, oh, God, it freaks me out. Makes me so mad. All right. Enough with that horrible downer video.
Why you support a president who contributes to the rhetoric that got your friend Charlie.
So this is Megyn Kelly. Went to, I think, Virginia Tech. And this is the continuance of the Turning Point College campus tour. She was supposed to be there with Charlie Kirk. Obviously, Charlie Kirk's not there anymore, but they kept it going, and she shows up. The guy asked her, like, if this is so horrible, if you're against this violence, and why do you support the president who keeps adding on to it, right? Turning up the pressure.
That got your friend Charlie. Why you support a president who contributes to the rhetoric that got your friend Charlie killed. We saw his rally recently. He said, "I hate my enemies." Stephen Miller said similar things. How can you support him when he contributed to what got Charlie killed?
Assumes facts, not evidence. What you said is not true.
70% of political violence is committed by Republicans.
Okay.
Look it up.
That's not
DOJ
true.
just pulled it. The DOJ just pulled it from their website. DOJ just pulled the study from their website because they're delusional.
That's not true because
they just pulled it. Look it up.
Once you pull
DOJ pulled it from their website.
Once you pull the crazies out of there, it is overwhelmingly.
So the Cato Institute, which is a right-leaning think tank, found that like over 70% of all political violence that results in death is from the right wing. And she says once you pull the crazies out, it's overwhelmingly left wing. Yeah, I would assume. I mean, anybody that does that is probably crazy. So when you pull all the crazies out of the right wing, it goes to zero. But why wouldn't you pull the crazies out of the left? What?
The DOJ just pulled it from their website. DOJ just pulled the study from their website because they're delusional.
That's not true because
they just pulled it. Look it up.
Once you pull
DOJ pulled it from their website.
Once you pull the crazies out of there, it is overwhelmingly.
Oh, once you pull the crazies out. When she says assumes facts, not an evidence, I just looked it up. I was curious. She was an attorney. What does that mean? This is not part of the...
It is incredibly well timed when the DOJ pulled down this study. It was really when they went full steam ahead on the left wing is the only people that's doing this. The right just want justice and the left wing will kill you, blah, blah, blah. That's when they pulled it down. But you can still find it everywhere else. It's even fucking on the Wayback Machine.
Do we not think that these things were actually said? Or is she just disagreeing with his conclusion about that? That seemed kind of retarded, but okay.
Left-wing violence.
Google it.
We have had
every single person in the audience. Google it right now.
You know, this is how we get here. So first of all, let me take on the first part of the premise of your question, that it was President Trump's rhetoric that led to an assassin killing our friend Charlie Kirk. That's a blatant lie. It's a defamatory blaspheme. And
that wasn't his claim at all, right? He didn't say that what Trump said after Charlie was dead led to Charlie being shot. How can you support someone who is turning up, right? The pressure is turning up political violence, who is saying things like, oh, well, the extreme right, they just want justice and law and order. But the extreme left, they'll kill you. It's all left-wing violence.
And Charlie Kirk. That's a blatant...
Or, I hate my enemies. I hate them. They're animals.
It's a defamatory, blaspheme, and it's inappropriate in this setting.
Blaspheme? I don't think she knows what that means.
We just use whatever word. I don't know why I'm even critically thinking about this. Okay.
It's not what I said.
We know. Yes, it is.
No, I said he contributed to the political atmosphere.
Well, then you have no point. Then your point is utterly empty. Contributing to the atmosphere. This guy was. No, let's just make clear. This guy was motivated by leftist ideology. We know it from the bullet casings. We know it from the Utah governor. We know it from his own mother. Yes, we do. Let's be really.
She's like lying, right? She doesn't know any of this. She's just an actual hellspawn, Satan, demonic. I hope I show up in the next fucking clip compilation. Just actually such a disgusting, subhuman piece of shit. I wonder if these people, do you think that she like grabs her fucking, bullet rabbit clit sucker 7000 and is just fucking masturbating every day over Charlie's, bloody fucking corpse, thinking about all the ways that she can ride this motherfucker to whatever political ends that she wants? It's actually so unhinged. It's so insane to me.
Yeah, she was an attorney, I believe.
How somebody will just come up on stage, pretend to give a fuck about literally anything related to the truth or, some dead fucking dude, and just lie like they breathe. They lie like they breathe.
Clear on that.
Even if that's true, so then you're saying, because, let's say this guy's a leftist, even if that's true, does that make it okay for the sitting president of the United States to incite violence against liberals?
The president of the United States.
No, it doesn't. Let's give it to him. He's the most trans for everybody leftist ever. Does that make it okay for what the president is spreading when he should be trying to calm everyone down? Everyone. Both sides.
Even if that's true, so then you're saying, because, let's say this guy's a leftist, even if that's true, does that make it okay for the sitting president of the United States to incite violence against liberals?
I mean, he's a cute guy. I wouldn't say that he's super hot. I don't know. Needs a haircut, maybe.
The President of the United States has not accepted violence against liberals. The President of the United States made a joke at the Charlie Kirk Memorial.
Oh,
of course.
Jokes. Oh, they're all Oh, it's all joking. Oh, joking. Oh, joking.
Which was funny and self-deprecating. It was on the heels of Erica Kirk saying she, in an extraordinary moment, forgave her husband's killer. And let me finish.
And Trump says, I don't forgive any of my political enemies. Sorry. It's a joke, guys. It's a joke when he goes on Fox News and says, when the Fox News host sets him up perfectly and says, well, there's radicals on the left or radicals on the right. Shouldn't this be like a problem where we all need to tone it down? And he says, no, I'll get in trouble for saying this. But if you look at the radical right, they want law and order. If you look at the radical left, they will kill you.
And then President Trump got up and making a joke, playing off of what Erica said. He said,
you see what I'm talking about here? I feel like somebody who's less lazy than I am. I need an army of those fucking bread tubers or whatever. Somebody just needs to build out the model thing I said, and then you just need to overlay it over like all of the media. You can see all of it play out in real time. Trump says something that's obviously unacceptable through any ordinary rational framing, right? People are getting politically murdered in the country. You can't go out and say like, oh, I view.
Oh, thank you for the 6 packs, Jennifer Winkler. I appreciate it.
So what happens every single time this happens? Every single time, without fail, the brain trust gets together in Telegram groups, Signal groups, or they just fucking meditate in their Trump shrines in their closets. Like, okay. How do we make this work? How do we sell this idea? How do we mold this, shapeshift this, trans this into something that actually is not like the most abhorrent fucking thing ever? And then they all do it. They get up and
oh, by the way, while we're talking about the crazy shit the president says, his UN speech was a goddamn disaster. His UN speech without the teleprompter was a goddamn disaster.
They do it. And they do it without question, right? Without question. Not to make it about myself, but like this is the difference, right? Is that like I'll go to Sean and be like, all this about violence as soon as Trump does. I think Trump should do it first. These guys will go up and be like, why didn't Trump do about violence? Well, actually, he was just joking. It was all a fucking joke and it's your fault. It's like, oh. Like every single member of the conservative media squad is ready to get together and make excuses and, you know, patch up these statements.
And they fall in line. I'm sure they're communicating in the background. Or maybe they've done it so many times that they just already know what they have to key up. It was a joke.
And put them together in whatever way they need to sell them to whatever audience they're in front of at the time.
And let me finish. And then President Trump got up and making a joke, playing off of what Erica said. He said, we disagree. I need to do better. Erica's going to try to convince me, but I'm in a different place. And that's completely normal for a politician to be thinking about his political fights. And by the way, Trump has
his political fight. Oh.
every right to loathe his enemies. They tried to put him in jail for the rest of his life.
Pretext. Think about that, right? It's not about what they're doing now, and it's not about what's actually happened in the past. It's about giving a pretextual reason for whatever he might do in the future, right? We're not just excusing his current behavior. We're fabricating a past to make excuses.
Right. They try to put him in jail forever, so anything he does from now on, they can just say, well, they should have done that.
Or to create like a fertile environment to make up excuses for future behavior, right? It's not about, like, think about what she's, like, think about all the different things that have happened here. So we said Trump wasn't actually being malicious at all. He was just making a self-deprecating joke, okay? Which we all know is bull.
He does not do. Trump does not do self-deprecation at all.
Bullshit. But that's excuse number one. We don't know that's bullshit, number one. But then number two, then she goes on to justify him actually being malicious and hateful. Of course he's got an excuse to be malicious and hateful. Here's all this bullshit that I'm going to make up. That not only does it excuse him saying whatever he said, which by the way, he was just a joke, LOL. Okay, well then I don't know why you're trying to make excuses for it. If it was just a joke, just say it was a joke. Now she's going on to, right, we're planting the seeds for future unhinged comments as well, you know?
They tried to put him in jail for the rest of his life. They tried to bankrupt him. They tried to put his family in jail. And they tried to kill him.
Criminal. Jack Smith.
Wait. Okay, now you go.
Thank you for your time.
Okay.
It's so crazy that like Trump managed to evade so many consequences and was held accountable for literally nothing, and literally got the Supreme Court to rewrite the U.S. Constitution to give the president infinite immunity from criminal behavior. And they're still like, they tried to attack him. Okay, bro.
It's a mess, dude. It's
Hey, do you remember this video from February? Why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. That guy right there is Brian Glenn, the White House correspondent for Right Side Broadcasting Network, and strangely enough, Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend. I talked with Sophia Tesfaye.
Also, he looks a lot like a baked potato.
Right there is Brian Glenn, the White House correspondent for Right Side.
Doesn't he? Like if you squint, just squint. Need some cheese, sour cream, bacon bits. Looks a lot like a human baked potato head.
Broadcasting Network, and strangely enough, Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend. I talked with Sophia Tesfaye.
That's it didn't. Never mind.
Tesfaye, a senior writer here at Salon, who wrote this wonderful article about Brian Glenn's weird position between supposed journalist and glorified PR agent for the Trump White House.
That was that same infamous Oval Office meeting where J.D. Vance then went off on Zelensky.
Yep, that iconic, cringeworthy moment in which J.D. Vance demanded that the leader of a nation currently at war say thank you to the president was sparked by a question from Brian Glenn. But even when he's not enforcing dress code, like the principal of a middle school dance, Glenn is directing questions at the president that seem to be guiding Trump's impulsive policymaking.
This peace vigil that has stood for decades in front of the White House that Brian Glenn seemingly out of nowhere asked about, the president was like, sure, yeah, let's get rid of it. And after 40 years of standing in front of the White House, it's gone because of one question from Brian Glenn.
It is an eyesore.
Oh, I didn't know that. Take it down. Take it down today, right now.
Obviously, that interaction doesn't speak too confidently to the amount of thought that Donald Trump puts into any one decision. Can anybody with a press pass just bring up an issue, phrase it in the correct pandering fashion, and trick the most powerful person in the world into caring about that issue? Or is Brian Glenn just bringing up things that he knows the administration wants brought?
I think it's a backdoor. I 100% think it's a backdoor that the administration wants brought up by a fucking a journalist.
Which is, let me check.
Yeah, the opposite of what a White House press correspondent should do. Similarly, following Charlie Kirk's death at the alleged hands of a cisgender man, Brian Glenn has pushed for the president to go after the totally real organization Trantifa.
Trantifa, an organization they made up.
Called Transtifa, so perhaps if you can label them a domestic terrorist group, then you can, in all reality, you could take that flag down because it would represent the Transtifa.
I think you probably could.
But perhaps the most frightening interaction thus far happened when the New York Times' Maggie Haberman pushed back on Trump's statement that some people should be thrown in jail for protesting him.
Do you actually think that that is an offense that deserves jail time?
I don't know how they got in there, but certainly I thought it was very inappropriate. Yeah, I think they were a threat.
You think that deserves jail?
Agree with it? I think they're a national organization.
But you think they deserve jail?
Why is Trump asking Brian Glenn, the supposed independent journalist, for his input on a question posed to Trump? Have the lines of Glenn's job blurred so much that even Trump is just treating him like another press secretary to field questions for him? In case it isn't obvious, this blurring of lines is dangerous to the relationship between those in power and those whose job it should be to question said power.
What I think is maybe most likely,
which is why we usually don't let them fucking just randomly ban people from the goddamn press pool from not using the language that we want them to. You didn't say Gulf of America. You're no longer allowed.
Is that the two, whether explicitly or not, are conspiring to set up new parameters, a new paradigm by which press freedoms, believe it or not, led by a journalist himself, are being snatched away, obliterating the fourth estate wall, right? Like, he is a political operative in the role of journalist.
It's unclear
pretending to be a journalist.
Brian Glenn has embraced the job of Trump's de facto PR agent, but his role in the crumbling of press freedoms right before our very eyes is perhaps the second most despicable job in the United States. The first being, again, Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend.
Oh, dude, we are so fucked. We're just fucked.
Just a reminder that the billionaire elite wants us fighting a
MAGA will never fucking understand this.
Culture war, not a class war.
Right now, the people in power are trying to start a civil war, and they want us to have a culture war, not a class war. When someone asks, what is a woman? They're trying to start a culture war, and they want to distract you from the fact that 0.1% of this country owns 5 times as much wealth as the bottom 50%. Oh, you're
I want every time you see that on social media or someone asks you in person, what is a woman? I want you to immediately respond with 0.1% of the United States population controls more wealth than the bottom 50% of the U.S. population, and just refuse to move from that point.
against capitalism owns 5 times as much wealth as the bottom 50%. Oh, you're against capitalism, but you have an iPhone. That iPhone wasn't made by capitalism. It was made by labor. And the technology that created that iPhone was from a U.S. government program called DARPA. If someone says, I'm a capitalist, ask them, where are your factories? Do you control world markets and world supply chains? Or you're against capitalism, but you're drinking a latte? And that latte was made by a barista that you don't think deserves a living wage. They should just get a better job. Oh, so the person that takes their job shouldn't be able to afford food, housing, or raise a family? But if we tax billionaires less, they'll reinvest that into the economy. False. In 2018, billionaires and corporations received a huge tax cut under Donald Trump. Did they reinvest that money? No. Job growth was stagnant. They stashed the money and corporations bought back their own stock. Stock buybacks is when a corporation buys their own stock. It only benefits the executive class. The working class, on average, spends 110% of their income. So when you invest in the working class through housing initiatives, education, transportation infrastructure, that money goes back into the economy exponentially. It's a multiplier. So once again, the billionaire class is trying to pick your pocket. When they ask, what is a woman? They're trying to pick your pocket. When they talk about school choice, they're trying to pick your pocket. When they scapegoat trans people and immigrants, they're trying to pick your pocket.
That is true. So we did find out that Elon Musk was right. Trump's in the Epstein files. Steve Bannon's in the Epstein files. He said that Bannon is in the Epstein files. That was one of his tweets that he later deleted back in July. But we also found out that Peter Thiel is in the Epstein files, and so is Elon Musk. So we got some documents that have been released, and it's a private calendar of Jeffrey Epstein. It starts out November 27th, 2017. Blank's parents to check out breakers and stay at J.E.'s PB house. 8 a.m. breakfast with Reed Weingarten. 12 p.m. lunch with Peter Thiel. 6:05 p.m. to depart PB via JetBlue Blank. 6:30 p.m. IFP Gotham Awards cocktail reception. 7:30 p.m. dinner and awards ceremony. Caprini Wall Street, 55 Wall Street, Blank to drive you. That's the first page. Second page says February 16th, 2019, 7 a.m. breakfast with Steve Bannon. 9 a.m. breakfast with Reed Weingarten. Friday, December 5th, 2014, to be determined tentative breakfast party with Bill Gates. Invited Ron Barron and Josh Harris, awaiting reply. Saturday, December 6th, 2014, reminder, Gregory Riches on holiday in Aruba, December 6th through 13th. Reminder, Elon Musk to the island, December 6th. Then in parentheses, it says, is this still happening? ? December 7th, 2014, Zorro, depart PB. To be determined, arrive at San Francisco. And then we have a flight log now featuring Prince Andrew, Adam Perry Lang, bodyguard, a blank, and then one male from Teterboro to West Palm Beach. Those are the new leaked documents that come out naming. I don't even think Elon Musk has responded. Obviously, someone had reached out to him. He can say, well, I don't know what else would come out past this, but he could try to play it like, oh, I was never planning on meeting them anyways. But right now it says December 6th, meeting with Elon. Is that still happening? So I don't believe Elon Musk has responded at all. He's talked about 14 hours ago, United Airlines got FAA approval for their mainline aircraft to be equipped with Starlink internet. He retweets Doge Designer, showing that X is one of the top downloaded apps. He retweets Tesla North America. And that's it. He's got a pin tweet. Let's see his replies. George Soros' right-hand man, Howard Rubin. Something about sex stuff. Arrested for running a sex trafficking operation out of a penthouse turned BDSM sex dungeon. Rubin is a retired Wall Street executive who managed funds for the Soros Fund and other wealthy clients. Elon Musk, 11 minutes ago, says birds of a feather flock together. I know somebody tagged him in it. He's just fucking ignoring it, I guess. He retweets JD Vance saying Democrats are about to shut down the government because they demand we fund health care for illegal aliens. He retweets that and says, yep. But can't discuss the fact that he's in the fucking newly released Epstein files. Oh, wait. Here's something. Someone says, breaking, Elon Musk shows up in the Epstein docs. Media noise incoming. Markets still care about rockets, EVs, and AI. Tesla and XAI remain the story. Then someone says, I don't recall introducing Epstein to anyone as I don't know the guy well enough to do so. Epstein is obviously a creep, and Zuckerberg is not a friend of mine. Several years ago, I was at his house in Manhattan for about 30 minutes in the middle of an afternoon with Riley as she was curious about meeting this strange person for a novel she was writing. We did not see anything inappropriate at all apart from weird art. He tried repeatedly to get me to visit his island. I declined. That's all in quotes. So apparently that's supposedly a quote from Elon, and Elon says exactly. That's not what it lists. It lists Elon still coming to the island, ? Be kind of weird that you only showed up at his penthouse to hang out because someone else wanted to be there for a fucking novel they were writing, and then it says Elon's still coming to the island ? Is that still a thing? Whatever. Shit's getting fucking weird, dude. It's getting it makes sense why he would have called out Trump and said the only reason Trump won't release is because of the Epstein files. Then he gets a phone call and suddenly he's like, I shouldn't have said that, guys. I'm sure they'll release it when they want to release it. Blah blah blah. And then, yeah, the Trump administration is now blatantly going after political opponents. He went after James Comey. Former FBI Director James Comey has maintained his innocence after being charged with making false statements to Congress. President Donald Trump welcomed the indictment against a high-profile figure who has long drawn his ire. Mr. Comey is accused of lying to the Senate committee hearing in 2020 about whether he authorized the leak of classified information to the media. The indictment in Virginia comes days after Trump called on the country's top law enforcement officials to more aggressively investigate his political adversaries. This is one he was named, right? I read you that tweet where he's like, hey, we should do this. We should go after these people. People keep asking. And it was a message that he was trying to send to someone else between him and the attorney general, and he accidentally posted it and then deleted it, right? Mr. Comey said he had great confidence in the federal judicial system. If found guilty, he could face up to 5 years in prison. Indictment escalates Trump's promise of political retribution. An indictment in the U.S. justice system is a formal accusation issued by a grand jury after they reviewed evidence to determine the case should proceed. Mr. Comey's arraignment, by the way, in normal times, going to a grand jury and not getting an indictment is a sign of failure, okay? The reason being is there's no defense. You don't even really have to corroborate anything or show your evidence. You just have to kind of make claims, show some evidence, and the jury is saying, yeah, there's probably enough here to at least go to the next stages, to get in front of a judge, to start this whole process. I don't know about now, because it seems like they'll fucking take a grand jury to anybody for anything, so maybe some of them are getting thrown out, and they kind of knew they were going to be thrown out. But typically, when you see a prosecutor, and they have a failed grand jury indictment, they had all this shit. They decided they had enough for a grand jury, and there isn't even a defense there. There's no defense lawyer. The person's not there. Nobody to defend them whatsoever, and still can't get a grand jury to return an indictment. It's considered a failure. Like you fucked up somehow. Either one, you should have never taken this case, or two, you fucked it up so goddamn badly you couldn't even get an indictment. When it's like playing a game of basketball, but the other team's not fucking there. And you only have to score 1 point, right? That's it. So I'm not sure about now, but in the past, that's the way it's been. Mr. Comey's arraignment, where charges are formally read out in front of the defendant in court, has been set for 9 October in Alexandria, Virginia. We'll be following that case, obviously. The probe is being led by Lindsay Halligan. Where did we hear her name from? Lindsay Halligan. Do you remember a Lindsay Halligan? Of course we do. That is Trump's personal attorney that's only worked insurance cases. That was appointed as the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. I kept saying Northern District, but it's the Eastern District of Virginia. After he made the other one step down because they wouldn't go after fucking Letitia James. Because they said there's no evidence. There's no evidence to bring charges against this person. Trump claims he fired them. They claim they stepped down because pressure from the White House trying to make them fucking charge Letitia James with something she didn't fucking, or at least there's no evidence that she did. And then he put someone in that place, and immediately we have charges against James Comey, the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, who was previously Trump's personal lawyer and took over her new role on Monday. On Monday. She started the job on Monday. And by Friday, there's enough evidence, and we've already been through a grand jury. She started the job on Monday, and by Friday, she has an indictment against the former director of the FBI. Mr. Comey said he had great confidence in the federal judicial system. If found guilty, he could face up 5 years. Oh, I just read that. Attorney General Pam Bondi urged Trump at the weekend to pursue Mr. Comey, said in a statement that the indictment reflects the Department of Justice's commitment to holding those who abuse positions of power accountable for misleading the American people. By the way, this isn't treason. This isn't sedition. This isn't election interference. This isn't any of the things that MAGA claims that Comey's going to go down for, right? This is that he was asked directly by Congress, did you ever approve, you or any of the agents below you, of leaking material to, news outlets? And he said no. And I don't believe he did. Like, that would be really, really, even if he wanted, let's say he wanted to have a system of certain things got leaked to the media so they got more attention or whatever. Why would the director be involved? Are you guys fucking retarded? Have you never watched a fucking crime movie or a mafia or something? They're going to have a different guy that does this, you dumb motherfuckers. A fall guy that'd be like, yeah, go ahead. I'll give you the wink and the nod on that one. God damn. It's like Trump thinks everybody's as dumb as Trump, right? It's insane. The 2-page indictment is short on detail, but it says Comey has been charged with one count of making false statements and another of obstruction of justice. On about September 30th, 2020, in the Eastern District of Virginia, the defendant, James B. Comey Jr., did willfully and knowingly make a material false, fictitious, and fraudulent statement in a matter within the jurisdiction of the legislative branch of the government of the United States by falsely stating to a U.S. senator during a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing that he, James B. Comey Jr., had not, quote, authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports regarding an FBI investigation concerning Person 1. Who do you think Person 1 is? The statement was false because James B. Comey then and there knew he, in fact, had authorized Person 3 to serve as an anonymous source in the news reports regarding an FBI investigation concerning Person 1, all in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1001A2. On or about September 30th, 2020, in the Eastern District of Virginia, the defendant, James B. Comey Jr., did corruptly endeavor to influence, obstruct, or impede the due and proper exercise of power of inquiry under which an investigation was being had before the Senate Judiciary Committee by making a false and misleading statements before that committee. That's it. It's not even 2 full pages. It's like a page and a paragraph. And half of the first page is the heading. So we'll see. Yeah. Count 1, false statements within the jurisdiction of the legislative branch of the United States government. Count 2, obstruction of congressional proceeding. It's full mask off. It's full mask off racism. It's full mask off retaliation. It's full mask off. I want my followers to attack these people. It's
that's a few months away.
It's fucking insane, dude. What's going on right now? And how long has he even been in office? It's not even been a year. Tomorrow is the anniversary of Hurricane Helene. I can't believe it's been a fucking year for that, dude. Our shit's still fucked. It's depressing. Anyways, if you want to support the stream, do it at buymeacoffee.com/coldbeer, buymeacoffee.com/coldbeer, where you can buy a 6-pack or whatever it is. Leave a message. I'll read it on the air. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. I'll probably have some longer shows this week. Mariah's out of town for the next 9 days. So I'll probably have maybe some earlier shows and some longer shows if you guys are interested. It's not like there isn't enough material to cover. So if you guys are interested in that, let's do one more thing.
President Donald Trump took the stage at the United Nations today, addressing the General Assembly, speaking for nearly an hour, making several false statements, taking aim at the UN itself, along with...
Thank you very much. Very much appreciated.
You didn't hear anything about Hurricane Helene? It's fucked.
And I don't mind making the speech without a teleprompter, because the teleprompter is not working. I feel very happy to be up here with you nevertheless, and that way you speak more from the heart. I can only say that whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble. Hello, Madam First Lady. Thank you very much for being here. And Madam President, Mr. Secretary General, First Lady of the United States, distinguished delegates, ambassadors, and world leaders. 6 years have passed since I last stood in this grand hall and addressed a world that was prosperous and at peace in my first term. Since that day, the guns of war have shattered the peace I forged on two continents. An era of calm and stability gave way to one of the great crises of our time. And here in the United States, 4 years of weakness, lawlessness, and radicalism under the last administration delivered our nation into a repeated set of disasters. 1 year ago, our country was in deep trouble. But today, just 8 months into my administration, we are the hottest country anywhere in the world. And there is no other country even close. America is blessed with the strongest economy, the strongest borders, the strongest military, the strongest friendships, and the strongest spirit of any nation on the face of the earth. This is indeed the golden age of America. We are rapidly reversing the economic calamity we inherited from the previous administration, including ruinous price increases and record-setting inflation like we've never had before. Under my leadership, energy costs are down, gasoline prices are down, grocery prices are down, mortgage rates are down, and inflation has been defeated. The only thing that's up is the stock market, which just hit a record high. In fact, hit a record high 48 times in the last short period of time. Growth is surging, manufacturing is booming. The stock market, as I said, is doing better than it's ever done. And all of you in this room benefit by that, almost everybody. And importantly, workers' wages are rising at the fastest pace in more than 60 years. And that's what it's all about, isn't it?
That's not true. This is not true.
In 4 years of President Biden, we had less than $1 trillion of new investment into the United States. In just 8 months since I took office, we have secured commitments and money already paid for $17 trillion. Think of it, 4 years, less than $1 trillion, 8 months, much more than $17 trillion is being invested in the United States, and it's now pouring in from all parts of the world. We've implemented the largest tax cuts in American history and the largest regulation cuts in American history, making this once and again the best country on earth to do business. And many of the people in this room are investing in America, and it's turned out to be an awfully good investment during this 8-month period. In my first term, I built the greatest economy in the history of the world. We had the best economy ever.
I can't believe the right is even bragging about how much money the tariffs have brought in. Could you imagine them bragging about a new fucking universal fucking tax that he passed that brought in trillions of dollars? Like, hell yeah. He raised all of our taxes by fucking 3.5%. And then we got $4 trillion. Like, what the fuck? That's what it is.
History of the world. And I'm doing the same thing again, but this time it's actually much bigger and even better. The numbers far surpass my record-setting first term. On our southern border, we have successfully repelled a colossal invasion. And for the last 4 months, and that's 4 months in a row, the number of illegal aliens admitted and entering our country has been 0.
Does anybody still believe this? That no one is illegally crossing the border. That it's been 0.
Hard to believe. Because if you look back just a year ago, it was millions and millions of people pouring in from all over the world, from prisons, from mental institutions.
Gas is only going down because of nothing that Trump's done. He's actually hurting the U.S. gas market. So you could do one of two different things. You can have really cheap gas, or you can have a booming oil industry in the U.S. But we can't compete with the production. The only reason gas prices are going down is because OPEC's announcement, all their shit. They keep up in how many barrels they're putting out. It's fucking insane. And Trump begs them for that, for cheap gas prices, knowing the people that he guaranteed will drill baby drills so you can work and you'll have jobs and are getting fucking laid off left and right. We used to check it weekly. Oil wells are just fucking falling off.
Institutions, drug dealers, all over the world they came. They just poured into our country with the ridiculous open border policy of the Biden administration. Our message is very simple. If you come illegally into the United States, you're going to jail or you're going back to where you came from, or perhaps even further than that. You know what that means. I want to thank the country of El Salvador for the successful and professional job they've done in receiving and jailing so many criminals that entered our country. And it was under the previous...
Yeah, look at this chart. Time with fucking OPEC announcement. And Trump begs them to fucking do this shit. Like, this is all under Joe Biden, who is going to destroy the oil industry or whatever. Even if we go back 3 years, look at this. These are those jobs that he promised will drill, baby, drill, and you'll have jobs. You'll have job security. We'll take care of it. That's oil workers, pipeline workers, everything.
Administration that the number became record-setting, and they're all being taken out. You have no choice. And other countries have no choice because other countries are in the exact same.
I don't drive enough that, like, if the oil industry in the United States is being shuttered and it's not for like replacing it with some type of, more renewable, it's just because the overseas companies are destroying us. I don't care if gas is 20 cents cheaper, right? I don't drive enough. Even on the year, does that make a big enough difference for me? Not really, but maybe some people do. Maybe you go through a tank every couple of days and shit, and that's like a big difference. Or you got a fleet of vehicles. I can't attest to that.
Situation with immigration. It's destroying your country, and you have to do something about it. On the world stage, America is respected again like it has never been respected before. You think about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, or 1 year ago, we were a laughingstock all over the world.
2, 3, 4, or 1.
At the NATO summit in June, virtually all NATO members formally committed to increase defense spending, at my request, from 2% to 5% of GDP, making our...
This still hasn't happened, and this number doesn't add up.
...alliance far stronger and more powerful than it was ever before. In May, I traveled to the Middle East to visit my friends and rebuild our partnerships in the Gulf and those valued relations.
The countries pledged to eventually get to 5%. None of them are. The U.S. isn't paying 5% either.
Relationships with Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE and other countries are now, I believe, closer than ever before. My administration has negotiated one historic trade deal after another, including with the United Kingdom, the European Union, Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, Indonesia, the Philippines, Malaysia, and many, many others. Likewise, in a period of just 7 months, I have ended 7 unendable wars. They said they were unendable. You're never going to get them solved. Some were going for 31 years, 2 of them, 31, think of it, 31 years. One was 36 years. One was 28 years. I ended 7 wars. And in all cases, they were raging with countless thousands of people being killed. This includes Cambodia and Thailand, Kosovo and Serbia, the Congo and Rwanda, a vicious, violent war that was, Pakistan and India, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, and Armenia and Azerbaijan. It included all of them. No president or prime minister, and for that matter, no other country has ever done anything close to that. And I did it in just 7 months. It's never happened before. There's never been anything like that. I'm very honored to have done it. It's too bad that I had to do...
All these countries are like, he didn't have anything to do with our war.
...these things instead of the United Nations doing them. And sadly, in all cases, the United Nations did not even try to help in any of them. I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help in finalizing the deal. All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen. But she's in great shape. We're both in good shape. We both stood. And then a teleprompter that didn't work. These are the 2 things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter.
He goes off on a tangent in a second about bidding to renovate the UN building.
Thank you very much. And by the way, it's working now. It just went on. Thank you. I think I should just do it the other way. It's easier. Thank you very much. I didn't think
9.5 minutes in
of it at the time because I was too busy working to save millions of lives. That is the saving and stopping of these wars. But later I realized that the United Nations wasn't there for us. They weren't there. I thought of it really after the fact, not during these negotiations, which were not easy. That being the case, what is the purpose of the United Nations? The UN has such tremendous potential. I've always said it. It has such tremendous potential, but it's not even coming close to living up to that potential. For the most part, at least for now, all they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter and then never follow that letter up. It's empty words, and empty words don't solve war. The only thing that solves war and wars is action. Now, after ending all of these wars and also earlier negotiating the Abraham Accords, which is a very big thing for which our country received no credit, never received credit, everyone says that I should get the Nobel Peace Prize for each one of these achievements.
So, by the way, the UN has succeeded in resolving numerous conflicts since its founding in 1945 and has provided multiple peacekeeping missions. Notable examples are 1988 settlement that ended the Iran-Iraq war after 8 years of fighting that cost an estimated 1 million lives on both sides. It has also successfully ended several civil wars, notably Namibia, El Salvador, Mozambique, Cambodia. The body also noted has noted failures, such as its failure to prevent genocide in Rwanda and Bosnia in the 1990s. Analysts have assessed the president's claim to have ended several wars as highly problematic. For instance, while a ceasefire brokered with U.S. and Qatari involvement ended 12 days of fighting between Israel and Iran in June, it followed Trump's dramatic decision to then bomb Iranian uranium enrichment facilities in Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. that had previously vowed to address those through negotiations. Several analysts have publicly doubted that the disagreement over Iran's nuclear ambitions has been resolved and warned that the conflict could reignite at any moment. While the White House intervention has ended outbreaks of fighting in other global hotspots, for example, between India and Pakistan over Kashmir or Armenia, Azerbaijan over Nagorno-Karabakh, the agreements in many respects appear fragile, interim, unratified. Meanwhile, Trump's pro-election vows to end the long-running wars between Russia and Ukraine, Israel and Hamas, and Gaza remain unfulfilled.
But for me, the real prize will be the sons and daughters who live to grow up with the mothers and fathers, because millions of people are no longer being killed in endless and unglorious wars. What I care about is not winning prizes, it's saving lives. We saved millions and millions of lives with the 7 wars. And we have others that we're working on, and you know that. Many years ago, a very successful real estate developer in New York, known as Donald J. Trump, I bid on the renovation and rebuilding of this very United Nations complex. I remember so well. I said at the time that I would do it for $500 million, rebuilding everything.
Here we go.
I used to talk about, I'm going to give you marble floors, they're going to give you terrazzo. I'm going to give you the best of everything. You're going to have mahogany walls, they're going to give you plastic. But they decided to go in another direction, which was much more expensive at the time, and which actually produced a far inferior product. And I realized that they did not know what they were doing when it came to construction, and that their building concepts were so wrong, and the product that they were proposing to build was so bad and so costly.
Isn't it called terrazzo, not terrazza?
And I said, and wait till you see the overruns.
Terrazzo, maybe?
Well, it turned out to be right. They had massive cost overruns and spent between $2 and $4 billion on the building and did not even get the marble floors that I promised them. You walk on terrazzo, do you notice that? As far as I'm concerned, frankly, looking at the building and getting stuck in the escalator, they still haven't finished the job. They still haven't finished.
Terrazzo, I'm not a flooring expert, but from what I understand is marble. It's a natural stone, right? Terrazzo is like, I guess you would call it a composite because it's multiple. It's like marble and aggregates and glass pieces, and then they use like cement and resin to make these tiles out of.
Years ago, the project was so corrupt that Congress actually asked me to testify before them on the tremendous waste of money, because it turned out that they had no idea what it was, but they knew it was anywhere between $2 and $4 billion as opposed to $500 million with a guarantee. But they had no idea, and I said it cost much more than $5 billion. Unfortunately, many things in the United Nations are happening just like that, but on an even much bigger scale, much, much bigger. Very sad to see whether the UN can manage to play a productive role. I've come here today to offer the hand of American leadership and friendship to any nation in this assembly that is willing to join us in forging a safer, more prosperous world. And it's a world that we'll be much happier with. A dramatically better future is within our reach. But to get there, we must reject the failed approaches of the past and work together to confront some of the greatest threats in history. There is no more serious danger to our planet today than the most powerful and destructive weapons ever devised by man, of which the United States, as you know, has many. Just as I did in my first term, I've made...
Hold on just a second. I want to hear some of this.
Thank you, Senator Golden. Just a little housekeeping chore. I want to thank Mr. Burnham's staff for returning. I appreciate your willingness to listen to the other viewpoints. Success in the very areas that we were talking about, and look forward to hearing what you have to say about, number one, your opinions, but also what you've heard here today.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members of the subcommittee. It's a great honor to have been invited.
Now remember, he's mad he lost this bid.
And if I can lend a hand, I would certainly love to do so. I have to start by saying I'm a big fan, a very big fan of the United Nations and all it stands for. I can't speak as to what's been happening over the last number of years because it certainly hasn't been good. But the concept of the United Nations and the fact that the United Nations is in New York is very important to me and very important to the world as far as I am concerned. So I am a big fan, such a fan, in fact, that at great expense, I built a building across the street. It's the tallest apartment house in the world. It's been a tremendously successful building, sold out, and I'm very proud of it. And if the United Nations weren't there, perhaps I wouldn't have built it in that location. So it means quite a bit to me. My involvement with the United Nations began with a letter, which I will give to the committee, from the ambassador to the United Nations from Sweden. And it's a long letter and a very beautifully written letter. And essentially, he read an article about the success of Trump World Tower, which is the building that I can show you right here, which is, as you can see, very, very substantially taller than the United Nations, bigger than the United Nations. And he read an article in the New York Times saying that the building cost approximately $300 million to build. So he wrote me a letter and ultimately called me and said, is it possible that that building cost $300 million? Because it just seems so much bigger and so much better and so much more expensive and so much more luxurious. And how could you have done that for $300 million when at that time, Senator, they were talking about $1.5 billion to renovate the United Nations? And this was around December of 2000. And I said, well, there's only...
What might be different in a commercial venture to build fucking offices and housing versus building the United Nations headquarters? What might be different in building a hangar and the hangar at Area 51? What might drive those prices up? Any ideas at all?
Only two reasons, either gross incompetence or something far worse than that. And you know what the something is, and that's corruption. Because there's absolutely no way that building could have cost $1.5 billion to build. And I did a chart, and I looked at other buildings, and I heard the numbers today, and I'm very impressed with Mr. Burnham, but Mr. Burnham is not his business. Mr. Burnham is in a different business. And the man he hired, who has done some work, I guess, has just been on the payroll for 2 days, so perhaps he'll be a great genius, and he'll bring down the cost to what it should be, which I think is about $700 million tops, and that's complete. But I did a little chart, and I looked at buildings that were comparable that I built.
So now he's saying, I don't know if you just caught this, but he said it should be $700 million, but he claims he could have done it for $500 million.
Architectural fees. The architectural fee for this building, and you have to understand a residential luxury building is far more complex than an open floor office building to build. So much more.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Not the United fucking Nations. How many architects do you think can lay out a luxury office building? How many architects post 9/11 you think can lay out the fucking most secure headquarters of the UN in goddamn New York City? And how many of those you think would do it for the same price?
Many more bathrooms, you have many more kitchens, you have many more rooms. It's more complex. Office building is essentially open space with subdividers. So I looked at it and I added up some of my costs. And for Trump World Tower, across the street, built not long ago, I spent approximately $258 a foot. It's the tallest residential building in the world. $258.32 a foot. I have 871,000 feet. It costs $225 million to build. Now, anybody that says that a building of renovation is more expensive than building a new building doesn't know the business, because you have a frame built, you have your foundations built, you have in many cases elevators that can be reutilized in their entirety but fixed. You have many, many components that can be used. And it only costs a fool more money. I did the Grand Hyatt Hotel from the old Commodore Hotel. I did Trump International Hotel and Tower from the old Gulf and Western building at 1 Central Park West, if you remember. I did the Trump Park Avenue building from the Delmonico Hotel. I love doing renovation because it costs you half. It doesn't cost you more, it costs you less, if you know what you're doing. Now, if you don't know what you're doing, it can be fraught with cost overruns, et cetera, et cetera. So I looked at a couple of other buildings. 40 Wall Street is a building which is unfortunately and sadly now the tallest building in downtown Manhattan. Sadly, because the World Trade Center came down. It replaced 40 Wall Street. It was actually the tallest building in the world for a period of 1 year and then superseded by the Chrysler Building and then the Empire State Building. But downtown Manhattan, it was superseded by the World Trade Center. So 40 Wall Street's approximately 72 stories tall. It was a complete gut renovation, identical to what you're doing. We put all brand new windows, brand new everything in it. And I have a renovation cost of, let's say, $100 a foot if you add everything. And that would mean that your job would cost somewhere in the neighborhood of half the number that you're talking about, and even less. The way I look at it, the number that they're talking about, and I agree with Senator Sessions, is close to $600 or $700 a foot. They're not adding garages. And by the way, garages are very inexpensive to renovate, so that brings the number way down. They're not adding a lot of things that have to be added. When I went to see the administration and when I went to see Kofi Annan, I was actually quite excited because I thought that I could save this country, this world, everybody, including myself, a lot of money just by sitting down and having a meeting. Unfortunately, as our great
He's so salty he didn't get the contract.
Senator to my right said there was just no response. They didn't really care. It got a lot of press. I walked into the room and I sat down. I felt like a head of state. I was sitting with Kofi Annan and a door opened and there were literally hundreds of reporters taking my picture. I said, what are we doing? I just want to tell you I can build a building a lot cheaper. And that was the end of it. I wrote letters and you have copies of the letters. I wrote letters after the meeting. I thought the meeting went amazingly well. I was expecting a call the following day from whether it's Kofi Annan or his people. At that time it was a man named Connors. I met with Mr. Connors. Mr. Connors didn't know the first thing about what he was doing. He didn't know whether or not the curtain wall was going to be new, old, and didn't even know where curtain wall was. I said, what are you going to be doing with the curtain wall? He said, what is a curtain wall? And he was in charge of the project. The curtain wall is the skin of the building. I said, will it be new or old? He said, I don't know. I said, are you using New York steam or are you using a new boiler system? He said, I don't know what New York steam is. It's a very common form of heating in the building. He had no clue. And the price at that time was $1.5 billion. I mean, I don't know why it came down because the world has gone up, but it came down. That was in the year approximately 2000 to 2001. So he didn't have a clue. I don't know if he's still there. Perhaps he is. The one thing I found him very, very good at is that he didn't want to lose control of this project. He was a man that absolutely wanted to keep control of the project, but he didn't have even the slightest inkling of what it was all about. Knew nothing about it. He then told me that he may move people out, he may not move people out. He didn't know. He thought he might. He wasn't sure. He just didn't know. So I went through a whole list of questions for him, and then I realized that the United Nations is in serious trouble because the $1.5 billion that they were talking about, there was no way it was going to happen.
This is when people fucking actually sort of tolerated, liked Trump, I guess.
For that. And I say today that the $1.2 billion, which they brought down, even though it's basically the same work, and even though things have gotten more expensive, so I don't know why they brought it down, because I don't think they brought it down for a particular reason. But the $1.2 billion, in my opinion, I'll be sitting here in 3 years, and I'll be saying, and I'm going to predict that it'll cost over $3 billion, because they just don't know. I was very impressed with Mr. Burnham, but again, you have to deal in New York City construction to see what tough people are all about, to see what tough contractors are all about. And if you haven't done it, you're not going to go to school, and they're just going to take you to lunch, and you're just not going to even know what happened. So this project at $1.2 billion will cost, in my opinion, $3 billion. In my own opinion, however, in my real opinion, it should cost approximately $700 million. I've been listening to a couple of different things. Number one, swing space.
It ended up costing, I think, $2 billion total or something like that.
I don't think you need swing space. First of all, what landlord in New York is going to rent space for a year and a half or 2 years? Who's going to do that? You're going to give up a building for a year and a half or 2 years and say, oh, good, you just go in, mess up my building for a short term, and then move out. Nobody's going to do that unless they're totally desperate. And you don't have to be desperate in New York. It's the hottest real estate market in the world today, probably. And I'm saying, where are they going to find a space to start off with? It's going to be a disaster. And if you know New York City landlords, and some of you do, there is no worse human being on earth, okay? They are going to have more fun with these folks from the United Nations when it comes to signing that lease. And the United Nations, their heads will be spinning. Assuming there's honesty, their heads will be spinning.
This wasn't a small renovation, right? It was a building from the 50s that was brought up to 2015 Right.
So I don't know where they're going to get the space. They're going to have to pay so much, and no landlord's going to fix the space. I mean, I'm listening to these people that are very naive, and I respect them, but they're very naive in this world. Now, I might be naive in their world, but in this world, they're naive to think that they're going to go into a building and rent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of feet of space, if they can find such a building. I don't know of any building like that. And then they're not going to have to pay for the renovation of that space and fixing up the space for a couple of years. Now, people do that, but they sign 25 and 30-year leases. I don't mind going into an office building and fixing up space, but I sign a 30-year lease or a 20-year lease or at least a 15-year lease. These people can sign a 1 or 2 year lease. It's ridiculous. So the concept of swing space, in my opinion, doesn't work from an economic, and the number of $98 million is a joke, because that number will be hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in just the renovation costs alone. One of the things that I had mentioned to Kofi Annan and the whole group when I was at the meeting was that there's no reason to move anybody out. In New York City, we have a lot of asbestos buildings, and there's a whole debate about asbestos. I mean, a lot of people could say that if the World Trade Center had asbestos, it wouldn't have burned down, it wouldn't have melted, okay? A lot of people think asbestos, a lot of people in my industry think asbestos is the greatest fireproofing material ever made. And I can tell you that I've seen tests of asbestos versus the new material that's being used, and it's not even it's like a heavyweight champion against...
Asbestos is decent. They have comparable materials, but asbestos is decent as long as it's not disturbed in any way. But you always have that danger of a fucking IT guy or this guy or something hitting it. Once it's disturbed and you breathe it in, and you're fucked.
A lightweight from high school. But in your great wisdom, you folks have said asbestos is a horrible material, so it has to be removed. Space is constantly being renovated. Asbestos is constantly being gotten rid of with tenants in possession. You sit there. They conceal. They wrap it. They conceal it. They do it. They do it. Many professional firms. They move the asbestos. Estee Lauder's company. They did it while they were in possession. I could name 100 tenants where it's been done while they sit in their offices, literally working. Sometimes it's done over weekends. Sometimes it's done at a little different time. They take sections of offices and they do it. And the people move from that section to another section, and they're inconvenienced for a day and a half. And then they rebuild the office. So the concept of moving to swing space, dealing with New York City landlords, is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, you can do the entire building. You can put new skin on the building. You can put new. See the piping. You don't have.
So he's saying right now that part of the thing was swing space. They went to different. Part of this budget was they went to different offices for a couple years. Not just building renovation.
You know, not every office has a bathroom. It's not like an apartment house. But you can do this entire building like I did the Grand Hyatt Hotel. I took the old Commodore Hotel and I made it into the Grand Hyatt Hotel on 42nd Street and Park Avenue. It was a great success. I did it with many buildings. I've done this with many buildings. But it's not necessary to have everybody leave the building in order to rebuild a building. And you don't have to necessarily even do it at one floor at a time. You can either fix the skin or put a new skin on the building. And what you do is you do the roof first and you seal it and you get a 30-year guarantee. You then bring...
Oh, thank you for the bits, Dreamweaver. I appreciate it. 200 bits. Thank you very much.
What I do best in life is build. Even better than The Apprentice, I must say. The thing I do best is build. But you put a new roof, as I did with the Commodore Hotel into the Grand Hyatt. You put a brand new 20 or 30-year roof that's a guaranteed roof. And now your roof is done, like an umbrella. And then you bring the skin down, and as you're bringing the skin down, you're taking the old skin off. So by the time, and you literally have very little gap, very little space, but you're bringing the new skin down, and it's just think of an umbrella. You're bringing the brand, and you should put new skin. This skin has been up there for many 60 years. It's over. Now you can copy the skin identically. You can copy the color of the glass.
He's talking about the facade, right? Sometimes it's aluminum, sometimes it's glass, sometimes it's fucking fake brickwork. Who knows? But he's talking about the outside covering of the building.
Identically, you can bring in all the modern technology, including triple pane or double pane glass in terms of heat and cooling and everything else. But you bring the skin down, and as you have scaffold, and as it's coming down, the old skin is.
But he's known for cutting corners. He's known for cheating contractors. He's known for not paying, right, and having to be sued. And then still sometimes not paying.
Coming off, everything sealed up beautifully. In the meantime, inside, your pipes are going up, your asbestos is coming out, your electric is being redone. You have companies that do nothing but redo electric. Now, these are different companies. You have companies that do new electric, they wouldn't know how to redo electric. Then you have companies that redo electric, they don't know how to do new electric. I mean, it's just a specialty. But you have special people that redo apartments, which are being renovated all the time with people in possession, that redo all sorts of buildings. I just built a building on Park Avenue and 59th Street. I had tenants in possession when I did it. I mean, I built a major building, essentially brand new, the old Delmonico Hotel. And I had people living in the building when I did a major $100 million job. It's a $200 million building. So the concept of moving to another location and getting everybody out of this building is absolutely asinine and will cost you so much money you're not even going to believe it, and then you're going to have to move in. Many other things. When I did the Wellman Rink, the city of New York was boggled down for a period of 7 years. They had spent $21 million. It was a tremendous embarrassment to the Koch administration, and I said, I'd like to take over the project. And they said, the New York Times came out with an editorial, the New York Post came out with a great editorial, and they said, let Trump do it. And finally, the city had let me do it, and I rebuilt, and believe me, I used nothing that was there before. Everything had to be gutted out because it was totally incompetently done. 7 years, $21 million. I redid it, and the senator remembers this very well, I guess. I redid it in 3 months for $1.8 million, and it opened, and I still run it today, and that was quite a while ago. This is no different, and in fact, in a certain way, this is even easier. All week long, you have tenants in New York renovating their space. You have buildings being renovated with what we call tenants in possession. I mean, they're tenants in possession. They're in possession of the space. Now, I listened to one thing, and I've seen one thing, and one number that sticks out more than all of the rest. Because whether or not somebody doesn't know what New York steam is, or what boilers are, and whether or not they have boiler rooms, which the people of the United Nations didn't do. But the number of $44 million for an architect is one of the great numbers in the history. In fact, I think this man is a genius, whoever he may be, wherever he may be in Italy. I think he's a great genius. I would like to meet him. He is without question the richest architect in the world. And I listened as one person said, I think they only got 500,000. Another person said, I think they got $1 million, and then changed their mind, and it was 7.8 million. And then I listened to Senator Sessions, who actually did his homework, said they got paid $27 million because you were able to check the books. So they got paid $27 million. Haven't done anything. They don't even have plans. Nobody even knows what they're building, and they got paid $27 million. Now, I have respect for a lot of people, and I have great respect for architects, but I'm going to give you an example. The tallest residential building in the world, my architect got paid approximately $1.5 million. This architect got $44 million. A building at 40 Wall Street, my architect got paid, believe me, peanuts. I think less than $1.5 million. In Chicago, where I'm building a building of 92 stories at the old Sun-Times site, 2.7 million square feet, which is more than the United Nations. If you add up all of the projects that they're talking about, it's larger, substantially larger. I'm spending $600 million, and they're saying they're going to spend $1.2 billion. So they're spending much. And this is a 92-story building with brand new structure, brand new foundations. I'm building all the roads. Mayor Daley made me build roads around the building. I had no choice. Otherwise, if you know Mayor Daley, you're not going to build a building. He's a great mayor, but he made me do that. So all of this is $600 million, and they're spending $1.2. Now, there's no way they're spending $1.2 billion, in my opinion, and based on what I've heard. When they've spent $27 million and terminated the architect, there's big trouble. Because I don't think they have a new architect. So if they don't have a new architect, who's going to do the plans? And who's going to do the bidding? Because in order to do a job, you have to have a complete set of plans and specs. If you don't have a complete, finished, over set of plans and specs, you have nothing to bid on. There's no way you can bid. The worst thing you can do, and you said you were in the home building business for a while, the worst thing you can do, is start a job without complete plans and specs, because the subcontractors will eat your lunch, right? So it's one of those things. So they don't even have an architect. They spent $27 million and they don't have an architect. Now, I have asked on numerous occasions to go in, and I would help them. I would love to help them. I don't want any money. I want nothing. I made a lot of money. I don't care. I want nothing. There are lots of different, somebody said, what would be your dream on the site? Well, my dream is a dream that won't happen, but it's a dream that I might tell you. It's a dream to take the United Nations, the senator over here is probably going to go crazy, move it to the World Trade Center as a brand new United Nations, sell the United Nations site, which is one of the greatest sites in the world, for much more money than the whole thing would cost, and you end up building a free United Nations at the World Trade Center, where I don't think anybody's going to want to stay anyway. I think it's going to be a very, very hard rent up at the World Trade Center. But let's assume that's not going to happen. Not a bad idea, though. No problem. Not too bad. He's got no problem. Most people don't have it. On the top floor. Okay, I won't get into it. I didn't say that. But the fact is that the United Nations building, with all of its buildings, with its parking, should be completed, and I mean completed, at a cost of $700 million. And it's my opinion that it will not be completed for less than $3 to $3.5 billion. They don't know what they're getting into. And please remember this, as somebody that's probably built as much as anybody my age anywhere, I don't know of anybody that's built more. If you don't have a complete set of plans and specifications, there is no way you can build. And from what I understand, they don't even have an architect. One final point. They give you some nice firms, Turner and this one, and Theobald and Gardner and Theobald. The fact is that I can take those same firms and tell them the way I want it built, and those same firms will come up with prices that are half the price that they're coming up with. They're being told what to do by people that don't know what they're doing. So if I take Turner Construction, which is fine, or if I take a couple of others, and by the way, when I say fine, but Rolls-Royce, they spend money. But if I take a couple of those firms, and if I show them the right way to do it, and if I lead them down the right way, which is really what a good developer does, that number that they're coming up with will be cut in half. So that's it. Congratulations. You've got yourself a mess on your hands. And it's only going to get worse.
Mr. Trump, thank you very much. Let me ask you a couple of questions. Your renovation cost per square foot on an average building, and let's say with asbestos decontamination abatement, what is it, $150?
I think any professional. I was speaking to somebody very professional, Richard Lefrak, before. He said he just gave out an architectural contract on a 1 million foot building for $1.5 million, okay? Not $44 million, 1.5. So it's the same size, $1.5 million. I would say that if you, because of the United Nations in terms of security and some enhanced needs, okay? Let's assume it's beyond even your normal high-grade office building, which is really not. Essentially, it's an office building. But let's add something for security. I would think you should easily do it for $250 a foot. Easily. And that means complete. So that's not adding up all of this other stuff, which, by the way, was not given to you. You have many things listed on that board that weren't given to you.
Right. And when you say $250 a square foot, that's in today's dollars. So if we wait 2 years, number one, there's going to be some price inflation in that. And
they don't even have an architect, so how can they start sooner than that? First of all, to do a good set of plans and specs is going to take you a good year. So if you don't have an architect even hired yet because the last one ripped you off or did whatever he did, that guy is unbelievable. I mean, this guy, I want to meet him. I can learn from that guy. But so you have a man that got paid $27 million that you're not going to use. So now let's assume you have to start all over because no architect's going to take over somebody's plans in the middle of it. You just don't want to do that, okay? And the other thing is, how do you hire an architect from Italy? I love Italy. I love Italy. I love the Italians. How do you hire an Italian architect? What happens every time he wants to check the building? He gets on a plane and flies for 8.5 hours. Then he goes to the New York City building department and he doesn't even speak English. I mean, it's ridiculous. So what they have is they really have a problem. And I don't see how they can even say. Now, if you put a developer like myself or like any one of 5 other people, and I can only think of 5, in charge of a job like that, you could have that job started immediately. You could have the asbestos removed with tenants in possession. You could have the entire building rebuilt in less than 2 years. You know, Kofi Annan asked me one question. At the time, and I'm only increasing it because of the fact that when I met him it was 4 years ago, but at the time I said I could do it, I think, for $400 million versus their $1.5 billion. Slightly different number, right? He said, what would be the difference in the building? I said, the difference would be my building would be better, be much newer, much richer. I was putting in all brand new marble floors. So the
of course it will.
Putting in all brand new marble floors. They have all broken up terrazzo floors. Under their plan, they were leaving these all broken floors. They're broken, old, and terrazzo is not exactly a great material. It's garbage. But I was putting in all brand new marble. I was putting in an all new curtain wall. They were going to fix their curtain wall. If you fix that curtain wall, it's a disaster. You have to put in a brand new curtain wall. You get another 50 years. If you fix it, it's not the answer. It's going to leak. It's going to be a problem. So he asked me the question. I said the answer is it's going to be better. It will be brand new in its entirety. You won't have to move anybody out. You won't have to go and build. At that time they were talking about, as you remember, building a new building to house the people, and they were actually thinking about ripping the building down. Okay, so that's a real beauty. But they don't know what they're doing. So here I am.
So if the United Nations decides to go ahead on the track that they're going now and go out for a $1.2 billion contract, are you going to go get that business?
No, I'm not going to get it. First of all, they don't know what they want. They don't know what they have. They have no idea what they're doing. It's a problem where you can't bid on a job like that. And I wouldn't bid on it anyway. I offered my services free. I wanted to save close to $1 billion, actually $1.1 billion at the time. I wanted to save $1 billion for the United Nations, for the world. And I said, I wanted to do it. I like doing the women's skating rink. I mean, this is a bigger version of the women's skating rink. That's all it is to me. And I said, I don't want a fee. I don't want anything. They didn't like the idea. Now, the senator would have his own reasons. He's stronger on it than me. But they didn't want the idea. Are you surprised, Senator, about that?
No, I think it'd be a good location, and I just spoke in jest, and I apologize for the jest, but I think the downtown Manhattan would be a good site, or where it presently is, and I think you could do an outstanding job. Anybody could, as long as you have accountability, and you have real transparency, and you have real bids going on, and real people managing these projects.
I think that's not going to happen. I think it's a very interesting idea, but I think it's not going to happen. I love the idea of the downtown switch. Sell the land. You'll make such a fortune on the land, et cetera, et cetera. It's not going to happen from a practical standpoint. It should happen, but it's not going to happen. But just in terms of the renovation itself, you have to get the right architect. I mean, there are architects and there are architects. You have to get the right architect, and you have to know who those architects are. I mean, I can only think of 5 architects who would do a great job on this building. You have to know who the architects are. You have to get your plan started. You have to do it as a renovation, and the renovation should be done quickly, effectively. And in my opinion, by the end of 2007, this whole job should be complete.
Complete. It can be started immediately because of the fact that you're doing it the way I'm saying. Within 3 to 4 months of planning, you can start your contracts without extras. In other words, you can start what I call hard contracts, contracts without fluff and without extras. I think the entire job can be done by the end of 2007. I promise you, Senator, they wouldn't have the people moved out by 2007.
One little follow-up. They gave us $1.2 billion, $482 million going to labor and materials, and $471 million set up for contingency and professional fees.
Nobody's ever heard of such a number.
In your experience, when you plan a project, what do you figure for a contingency fee? The whole thing, the cost overrun, liability, the whole work. What do you figure?
Well, their contingency number was what, $400 and some odd million?
Yeah, it's $471 million.
Craziest number I've ever heard. My building in Chicago is $600 million. I believe we have a $30 million contingency, and of the $30 million, if I use any more than 3 or 4, I'm going to be very angry at my people. That's a 92-story building. I have a $30 million contingency, and I don't expect to use it. I set aside $30 million. I expect that if I use more than $3 million, I'm going to be a very unhappy camper. To have a $400 and some odd million contingency is totally.
This is why he holds grudges for sure.
Thank you, Senator Dayton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We build good buildings, Mr. Trump. I go to Napoleon, so I go in.
Contingency is just like your overrun fund, right? It's a reserve you keep just in case you have overruns or unexpected fees or things you didn't think about, the price inflation, whatever.
When can you start?
Well, I'd like to do, it was amazing. The Swedish...
Like an insurance policy.
He should get a lot of the credit for this. I mean, his letter's here. It's such a beautifully written letter, and it's written by a man of, I don't even know him. It's written by a man of great common sense.
And you met with the Secretary General 4 years ago?
4 years ago.
So, and I see here this United Nations General Assembly Capital Plan I referred to before is dated June of 2000. So, I mean, this project now in 5 years
this project
has gone nowhere.
Right. I could have built it twice. I could have built it twice.
How does the United Nations, or how does, whoever it is, the lender, if we're going to be the lender, how do you regain control of the project? Just start with the developer?
Well, actually, Mr. Burnham said I'd like to call you tomorrow, and I thought that was terrific. Honestly, I thought that was terrific. This is what I do. This is what I do the best. And I'm in New York, and as the Senator said, Senator Sessions, New York is a tough place to do business. And, I've had great success, and sometimes you take your lumps. You have to know the contractors. I know every contractor in New York. I know the ones that are going to, I'm not going to say the word, there's too many wonderful women in the room, but I know the contracts that are going to, quote, take advantage of you. I know the contracts that are slow, contractors. I know the contractors that are fabulous, that don't ask for extras. I know all of them. I know the good ones and the bad ones. I told a friend the other day, he was doing his apartment.
He doesn't pay half of them?
With the contractor. I said, don't use him. This was about a year ago. He got killed by this guy. He got killed. I said, use somebody else. He came to me the other day and said, I should have taken your advice. The United Nations people don't know. We have major slime in New York. And much of that is in the form of contractors. Isn't that a sad thing to say? And every one of them, I guarantee you, will find their way to the United Nations.
Well, when would you like to take over rebuilding the center and a few other projects?
That's true. You've had your own difficulties with it.
But it shows the difference between someone who knows what he's doing and people don't. And thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Senator Sessions.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very, very much for caring enough about American taxpayers' money to have this hearing. I think you've got 40-something planned. He is a fresh breath of fresh air for the Senate, and it ought to embarrass all of us because all of us have oversight committees that are not doing a very good job. And if we could save $1 million, Mr. Trump, that's $1 million that can be used for good causes. And I think there's potential to save a lot more than that. You have given us a tutorial on reconstruction and renovation and construction and big projects. I hope people were listening. And I think the main point is you've got to know what you're doing in this city in this kind of construction project, or you can be taken to the cleaners. Your contributions are going to help us save money, and I believe help us have a better UN building. And that's you wouldn't have said that if you didn't believe in the institution and want it to be better and want it to have the best building it can and the best balance sheet it can. So I just want to thank you for it. And we'll note that you said it could be completed by 2007. The plans are at this date to begin moving people out by June 2007. And so once again, we've got longer time frames and more cost. Again, I want to thank you for your courage, your willingness to speak out on an issue that a lot of people would have
overpromise, underdeliver.
But you brought your expertise to bear, and I believe will help the UN do a better job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Great honor.
No, he has no skin in this game. All he's got to do is say, I could build it 15 times in 3 years. Like, who cares? Like, there's no way to fact check. It's not his project.
Containing these threats a top priority, starting with the nation of Iran. My position is very simple. The world's #1 sponsor of terror can never be allowed to possess the most dangerous weapon. That's why, shortly after taking office, I sent the so-called Supreme Leader a letter making a generous offer. I extended a pledge of full cooperation in exchange for a suspension of Iran's nuclear program. The regime's answer was to continue their constant threats to their neighbors and U.S. interests throughout the region and some great countries that are right nearby. Today, many of Iran's former military commanders, in fact, I can say almost all of them, are no longer with us. They're dead. And 3 months ago, in Operation Midnight Hammer, 7 American B-2 bombers dropped the 14 30,000-pound each bombs on Iran's key nuclear facilities, totally obliterating everything. No other country on earth could have done what we did. No other country has the equipment to do what we did. We have the greatest weapons on earth. We hate to use them. But we did something that for 22 years people wanted to do. With Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity demolished, I immediately brokered an end to the 12-day war, as it's called, between Israel and Iran, with both sides agreeing to fight no longer. As everyone knows, I have also been deeply engaged in seeking a ceasefire in Gaza. Have to get that done. Have to get it done. Unfortunately, Hamas has
have to get it done.
Repeatedly rejected reasonable offers to make peace. We can't forget October 7th, can we? Now, as if to encourage continued conflict, some of this body is seeking to unilaterally recognize a Palestinian state. The rewards would be too great for Hamas terrorists for their atrocities. This would be a reward for these horrible atrocities, including October 7th, even while they refuse to release the hostages or accept a ceasefire. Instead of giving to Hamas and giving so much, because they've taken so much, this could have been solved so long ago. But instead of giving in to Hamas's ransom demands, those who want peace should be united with one message: release the hostages now. Just release the hostages now. Thank you. As we have got to come together, and we will come together, get it done. We have to stop the war in Gaza immediately. We have to stop it. We have to get it done. We have to negotiate. Immediately have to negotiate peace. We got to get the hostages back. We want all 20 back. We don't want 2 and 4. As you know, I got along with Steve Witkoff and others that helped us, Marco Rubio. We got most of them back. We were involved in all of them. But I always said the last 20 are going to be the hardest, and that's exactly what happened. We have to get them back now. We don't want to get back.
Oh, yeah. Everybody left when most people left.
We want the actually 38 dead bodies back, too. Those parents came to me, and they want them back, and they want them back very quickly and very badly, as though they were alive. They want them every bit as much as if their son or daughter were alive. I've also been working relentlessly, stopping the killing in Ukraine. I thought that would be, of the 7 wars that I stopped, I thought that would be the easiest because of my relationship with President Putin, which had always been a good one. I thought that was going to be the easiest one. But you know,
he flips sides here on Ukraine, Russia.
You never know what's going to happen. There are always lots of surprises, both good and bad. Everyone thought Russia would win this war in 3 days, but it didn't work out that way. It was supposed to be just a quick little skirmish. It's not making Russia look good. It's making them look bad. No matter what happens from here on out, this was something that should have taken a matter of days, certainly less than a week. And they've been fighting for 3.5 years and killing anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000 young soldiers, mostly soldiers, on both sides, every single week, from 5,000 to 7,000 dead young people. And some in cities, much smaller numbers, where rockets are shot, where drones are dropped. This war would never have started if I were president. This was a war that should have never happened. It shows you what leadership is, what bad leadership can do to a country. Look what happened to the United States, and look where we are right now in just a short period of time. The only question now is how many more lives will be needlessly lost on both sides. China and India are the primary funders of the ongoing war by continuing to purchase Russian oil, but inexcusably, even NATO countries have not cut off much Russian energy and Russian energy products, which, as you know, I found out about 2 weeks ago, and I wasn't happy. Think of it. They're funding the war against themselves. Who the hell ever heard of that one? In the event that Russia is not ready to make a deal to end the war, then the United States is fully prepared to impose a very strong round of powerful tariffs, which would stop the bloodshed, I believe, very quickly. But for those tariffs to be effective, European nations, all of you are gathered here right now, would have to join us in adopting the exact same measures. I mean, you're much closer to this. We have an ocean in between. You're right there. And Europe has to step it up. They can't be doing what they're doing. They're buying oil and gas from Russia while they're fighting Russia. It's embarrassing to them, and it was very embarrassing to them when I found out about it, I can tell you that. They have to immediately cease all energy purchases from Russia. Otherwise, we're all wasting a lot of time. So I'm ready to discuss this. We're going to discuss it today with the European nations, all gathered here. I'm sure they're thrilled to hear me speak about it, but that's the way.
Gitmo's got it figured out.
Speak the truth. As we seek to reduce the threat of dangerous weapons today, I'm also calling on every nation to join us in ending.
Is that Steve Carell? The fuck's he doing there?
The development of biological weapons once and for all, and biological is terrible, and nuclear is even beyond, and we include nuclear in that. We want to have a cessation of the development of nuclear weapons. We know, and I get to view it all the time. Sir, would you like to see? And I look at weapons that are so powerful that we just can't ever use them. If we ever use them, the world literally might come to an end. There would be no United Nations to be talking about. There would be no nothing. Just a few years ago, reckless experiments overseas gave us a devastating global...
That's his claim.
...pandemic. Yet despite that worldwide catastrophe, many countries are continuing extremely risky research into bioweapons and man-made pathogens. This is unbelievably dangerous.
You're watching a movie. Steve Carell's at the UN.
My administration will lead an international effort to enforce biological weapons convention, which is going to be meeting with the top leaders of the world.
Office reruns don't pay like they used to.
Pioneering an AI verification system that everyone can trust. Hopefully the UN can play a constructive role, and it will also be one of the early projects under AI. Let's see how good it is, because a lot of people are saying it could be one of the great things ever, but it also can be dangerous, but it could be put to tremendous use and tremendous good, and this would be an example of that. Not only is the UN not solving the problems it should too often, it's actually creating new problems for us to solve. The best example is the #1 political issue of our time, the crisis of uncontrolled migration. It's uncontrolled. Your countries are being ruined. The United Nations is funding an assault on Western countries and their borders. In 2020,
United Nations is funding an assault on Western nations and their borders.
Before the UN budgeted $372 million in cash assistance to support an estimated 624,000 migrants journeying into the United States. Think of that. The UN is supporting people that are illegally coming into the United States, and then we have to get them out. The UN also provided food, shelter, transportation, and debit cards to illegal aliens. Can you believe that? On the way to infiltrate our southern border. Millions of people came through that southern border. Just a year ago, millions and millions of people were pouring in, 25 million altogether over the 4 years of the incompetent Biden administration. And now we have it stopped, totally stopped.
Zero.
Coming anymore because they know
forever.
But what took place is totally unacceptable. The UN is supposed to stop invasions, not create them and not finance them. In the United States, we
see that red light flashing on the podium when I play the video.
The idea that mass numbers of people from foreign lands can be permitted to travel halfway around the world, trample our borders, sovereignty, cause unmitigated crime, and deplete our social safety net. We have
that was you were supposed to stop a minute and a half ago.
Asserted that America belongs to the American people, and I encourage all countries.
We're not even halfway through the video.
To take their own stand in defense of their citizens as well. You have to do that because I see it. I'm not mentioning names. I see it, and I can call every single one of them out. You're destroying your countries. They're being destroyed. Europe is in serious trouble. They've been invaded by a force of illegal aliens like nobody's ever seen before. Illegal aliens are pouring into Europe. Nobody has ever, and nobody's doing anything to change it, to get them out.
That's right, Gitmo. I hope an illegal alien invades your southern border tonight.
It's not sustainable. And because they choose to
big fucking hook, shepherd's hook.
Nothing about it. And I have to say, I look at London where you have a terrible mayor, terrible mayor. And it's been so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law.
See how the see how the like small talk is like picking up. I think this is where his audio stopped, and it's mostly because his speech is supposed to be over, and there's a big flashing red light on the podium.
But you're in a different country. You can't do that. Both the immigration and their suicidal energy ideas will be the death of Western Europe if something is not done immediately. This cannot be sustained. What makes the world so beautiful is that each country is unique. But to stay this way, every sovereign nation must have the right to control their own borders. You have the right to control your borders, as we do now, and to limit the sheer numbers of migrants entering their countries and paid for by the people of that nation that were there and that built that particular nation at the time. They put their blood, sweat, tears, money into that country, and now they're being ruined. Proud nations must be allowed to protect their communities and prevent their societies from being overwhelmed by people they have never seen before, with different customs, religions, with different everything. Where migrants have violated laws, lodged false asylum claims, or claimed refugee status for illegitimate reasons, they should in many cases be immediately sent home. And while we will always have a big heart for places and people that are struggling and truly compassionate, answers will be given. We have to solve the problem, and we have to solve it in their countries, not create new problems in our countries. It's very helpful to a lot of countries that are just not able to send their people anymore.
Like blowing up ships that are fleeing from those countries, ships full of civilians.
They used to send them to us in caravans of 25, 30,000 people each. These massive caravans of people pouring into our country, totally unchecked and unvetted. But not anymore, according to the...
So, one thing that's truly disgusting, the Republicans create this cycle. So you remember the whole time Biden was president, how they kept saying we had open border, open border, open border, the border's open, wide open, they don't stop anybody, everybody's getting in, there's a flood of... people in countries that are struggling hear that shit and believe it. And they travel here and get stuck in fucking refugee camps and border towns and get taken advantage of, starved to death, fucking kidnapped, held for ransom. They create this factor over, they create these cycle over and over and over and over and over again. Every fucking time. Every fucking time.
Council of Europe in 2024, almost 50% of inmates in German prisons.
They start these rumors that a massive caravan's headed here when really there's no one headed here. But that adds on to people that think there is a caravan headed here, that think they're going to get in, and it creates these horrible scenarios at the border where people are fucking starving to death trying to get in the United States.
Were foreign nationals or migrants. In Austria, the number was 53% of the people in prisons were from places that weren't from where they are now. In Greece, the number was 54%, and in Switzerland, beautiful Switzerland, 72% of the people in prisons are from outside of Switzerland. When your prisons are filled with so-called asylum seekers who repaid kindness, and that's what they did, they repaid kindness with crime. It's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. Let's see, I can tell you. I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell. In America, we've taken bold action to swiftly shut down uncontrolled migration. Once we started detaining and deporting everyone who crossed the border and removing illegal aliens from the United States, they simply stopped coming. They're not coming anymore. We're getting a lot of credit, but they're not coming anymore. This was a humanitarian act for all involved because on the trips up, thousands of people a week were dying. Women were being raped. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Raped, horribly beaten, raped. On the trip up, the journey up, it was a long walk. It was a long, arduous journey, indeed. It was also a historic victory against human trafficking throughout the region. What we did was a victory, and we saved so many lives of people that wouldn't make the journey. That journey was loaded up with death. Loaded up with death. Dead bodies all along the roads of jungles to get up. They go through jungles, they go through areas so hot you couldn't breathe. They were dying of suffocation, areas so hot that you couldn't breathe. Dead bodies all over. By them not coming, we're saving tremendous numbers of lives. My people have done a fantastic job in doing what they did, and the American public agrees with it. I mean, I was very proud to see this morning I have the highest poll numbers I've ever had. Part of it is because of what we've done on the border. I guess the other part is what we've done in the economy. Joe Biden's policies empowered murderous gangs, human smugglers, child traffickers, drug cartels, and prisoners from all over the world. The previous administration also lost nearly 300,000 children. Think of that. They lost more than 300,000 children, little children.
Also not true.
The United States, when the Biden watch, many of whom have been raped, exploited, and abused, and sold.
Everybody but Trump, that's right.
The fake news doesn't write about it.
Get them.
With many others, young children who are missing or dead. And we found a lot of these children, and we're sending them back, and we've been sending them back to their parents. They said, nobody knows who they are. They said, where do you come from? And they'll give us a country, and we'll find out, and we'll figure it out, and we'll bring them back to their homes. And the mother and father rush to the door, and their tears in their eyes. They can't believe that they're seeing their son or daughter, their little son or daughter again. We've done almost 30,000 of them so far. Any system that results in the mass trafficking of children is inherently evil. Yet that is exactly what the globalist migration agenda has done, and it's what it's all about. In America, those days, as you know, are over. The Trump administration is working, and we are continuing to work to track down the villains that are causing this problem. And also, as I said, to get back the 30,000 we've already returned. Now I think we're going to have another. We're going to find a lot. You're not going to find all of them. 300, more than 300,000. They're lost or they're dead. They're lost or they're dead because of the animals that did this. To protect our citizens, I've also designated multiple savage drug cartels as forest. And you see this, and you see it happening right before your eyes. Let's put it this way. People don't like taking big loads of drugs in boats anymore. There aren't too many boats that are traveling on the seas by Venezuela. They tend not to want to travel very quickly anymore. And we virtually stopped drugs coming into our country by sea. We call them the water drugs. They kill hundreds of thousands of people. I've also designated multiple savage drug cartels as far as foreign terrorist organizations, along with two bloodthirsty transnational gangs, probably the worst gangs anywhere in the world, MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. Tren de Aragua is from Venezuela, by the way. Such organizations torture, maim, mutilate, and murder with impunity. They're the enemies of all humanity. For this reason, we've recently begun using the supreme power of the United States military to destroy Venezuelan terrorists and trafficking networks led by...
I know you guys can't be that dumb, right? So the two national defense zones, one is 170 miles and one is 63 miles, and those are square miles, not linear miles. And the border is like 1,300 miles. Let me see. I may be wrong. A total of 1,954 miles.
Nicolas Maduro, to every terrorist thug smuggling poisonous drugs into the United States of America, please be warned that we will blow you out of existence. That's what we're doing. We have no choice. Can't let it.
We'll blow you out of existence while you're 4 days away and you have 8 fuel stops you have to make. We know exactly that you're coming to the United States. We'll just blow up your boat.
Happened. They're destroying. I believe we lost 300,000 people last year to drugs. 300,000. Fentanyl and other drugs.
That's all he knows. All Trump knows is rally Trump. That's the only speeches he makes. It's the only way he responds to reporters. It's the only way he talks to the UN.
We think carries drugs that would kill more than 25,000 Americans. We will not let that happen. Energy is another area where the United States is now thriving like never before. We're getting rid of the falsely named renewables. By the way, they're a joke. They don't work. They're too expensive. They're not strong enough to fire up the plants that you need to make your country great. The wind doesn't blow.
Yes, the red light's still flashing.
Oh, those big windmills are so pathetic and so bad, so expensive to operate, and they have to be rebuilt all the time. And they start to rust and rot. Most expensive energy ever conceived, and it's actually energy. You're supposed to make money with energy, not lose.
Not true.
Lose money. The governments have to subsidize. You can't put them out without massive subsidies. And most of them are built.
Why don't they ever mention the oil and gas subsidies? Ever.
In China, and I give China credit. They build them, but they very few wind farms. So why is it that they build them and they send them all over the world, but they barely use them? You know what they use?
That's not true. China leads the world in wind farms.
Coal, they use gas, they use almost anything, but they don't like wind. But they sure as hell like selling the windmills. Europe, on the other hand, has a long way to go, with many countries being on the brink of destruction because of the green energy agenda. And I give a lot of credit to Germany. Germany was being led down a very sick path, both on immigration, by the way, and on energy. They were going green, and they were going bankrupt. And the new leadership...
China has the largest installed wind farm capacity by far. Like, I think it's almost or over, somewhere around half of all wind energy is in China.
New leadership came in and they went back to where they were with fossil fuel and with nuclear, which is good. It's now safe. And you can do it properly.
They're like 3 or 4 times the second nation.
But they went back to where they were, and they opened up a lot of different plants, energy producing plants, and they're doing well. I give Germany a lot of credit for that. They've said this is a disaster, what's happening. They were going all green. All green is all bankrupt. That's what it represents.
All trans, all green.
And it's not politically correct. I'll be very big.
They're trying to trans your energy. It was born fossil fuel. It'll stay fossil fuel.
For saying it, but I'm here to tell the truth. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I'm in New York City. I'm feeling a lot safer. Crime, we're getting crime down. And by the way, speaking of crime, Washington, D.C. was the crime capital of America. Now it's a totally, after 12
not true by a long shot.
days, it's a totally safe city. Everyone's going out to dinner. They're going out to restaurants. Your wife can walk down the middle of the street with or without you. Nothing's going to happen. My people have done a fantastic job. And yes, I called in the National Guard, and the National Guard took care of business. And they weren't politically correct, but they took care of business. We got 1,700 career criminals out, brought them back to where they came from, the countries where they came from, or put them in jails. Washington, D.C. is now a totally safe city again, and I welcome you to come. In fact, we'll have dinner together at a local restaurant, and we'll be able to walk. We don't have to go by an armor-plated vehicle. We'll walk right over there from the White House. They've given up their powerful edge, a lot of the countries that we're talking about in oil and gas, such as essentially closing the great North Sea oil. Oh, the North Sea, I know it so well. Aberdeen was the oil capital of Europe, and there's tremendous oil that hasn't been found in the North Sea. Tremendous oil. And I was with the Prime Minister, I respect and like a lot, and I said, you're sitting with the greatest asset. They essentially closed it by making it so highly taxed that no developer, no oil company can go there. They have tremendous oil left, and more importantly, they have tremendous oil that hasn't even been found yet.
He tries to say we have the largest oil reserves in the world. We don't.
And what a tremendous asset for the United Kingdom. And I hope the Prime Minister is listening, because I told it to him 3 days in a row. That's all he heard. North Sea oil, North Sea, because I want to see them do well. I want to stop seeing them ruining that beautiful Scottish and English countryside with windmills and massive solar panels that go 7 miles by 7 miles, taking away farmland. But we're not letting this happen in America. In 1982, the executive director of the United Nations Environmental Program predicted that by the year 2000, climate change would cause a global catastrophe. He said that it will be irreversible as any nuclear holocaust would be. This is what they said at the United Nations.
I lived through Helene.
What happened? Here we are. Another UN official stated in 1989 that within a decade, entire nations could be wiped off the map by global warming. Not happening. You know, it used to be global cooling.
Look at the steps.
If you look back years ago in the 1920s and the 1930s, they said global cooling will kill the world. We have to do something. Then they said global warming will kill the world. But then it started getting cooler, so now they could just call it climate change because that way they can't miss. It's climate change.
We had to change it because Republicans are retarded, and every time they had a cold snap or it snowed, they would say, global warming. That's what they tell you.
Because if it goes higher or lower, whatever the hell happens, there's climate change. It's the greatest con job ever.
And it does make more extreme swings in both directions, depending on what season it is.
Climate
but the average temperature is rising. You cannot deny that.
Change. No matter what happens, you're involved in that. No more global warming, no more global cooling. All of these predictions made by the United Nations and many others, often for bad reasons, were wrong. They were made by stupid people that have cost their countries fortunes and given those same countries no chance for success. If you don't get away from this green scam, your country is going to fail. And I'm really good at predicting things, you know. They actually said during the campaign, they had a hat. The best-selling hat. Trump was right about everything. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way, but it's true. I've been right about everything. And I'm telling you that if you don't get away from the green energy scam...
He doesn't say that to brag. He just says that because it's true. He's right about everything, ever.
Your country is going to fail. And if you don't stop people that you've never seen before, that you have nothing in common with, your country is going to fail. I'm the president of the United States, but I worry about Europe. I love Europe. I love the people of Europe. And I hate to see it being devastated by energy and immigration. This double-tailed monster destroys everything in its wake, and they cannot let that happen any longer. You're doing it because you want to be nice. You want to be politically correct, and you're destroying your heritage. You must take control strongly and immediately of the unmitigated...
Destroying your heritage.
Immigration disaster and the fake energy catastrophe before it's too late. The carbon footprint is a hoax made up by people with evil intentions, and they're heading down a path of total destruction. You know, the carbon footprint was a big, big thing a few years ago. I remember hearing about the carbon footprint, and then President Obama would get into Air Force One, a massive Boeing 747, and not a new one, an old one with old engines that spew everything into the atmosphere. He'd talk about the carbon footprint, we must do something. Then he'd get in, and he'd fly from Washington to Hawaii to play a round of golf. And then he'd get back onto that big, beautiful plane, and he'd fly back, and he'd talk about, again, global warming and the carbon footprint. It's a con job. At extreme cost and expense, Europe reduced its own carbon footprint by 37%. Think of that. Congratulations, Europe. Great job. Cost yourself a lot of jobs, a lot of factories closed, but you reduced the carbon footprint by 37%. However, for all of that sacrifice and much more, it's been totally wiped out and then some by a global increase of 54%. Much of it coming from China and other countries that are thriving around China, which now produces more CO2 than all the other developed nations in the world. So all of these countries are working so hard on the carbon footprint, which is nonsense, by the way. It's nonsense. You know, it's interesting. In the United States, we have still radicalized environmentalists.
Oil is going to be a thing of the past in 2026. You're so goddamn retarded.
And they want the factories to stop. Everything should stop. No more cows. We don't want cows anymore. I guess they want to kill all the cows. They want to do things that are just unbelievable. And you have it too. But you know, we have a border, strong, and we have a shape. And that shape doesn't just go straight up. That shape is amorphous when it comes to the atmosphere. And if we had the most clean air, and I think we do, we have very clean air with the cleanest air we've had in many, many years. But the problem is that other countries, like China, which has air that's a little bit rough, it blows. And no matter what you're doing down here, the air up here tends to get very dirty because it comes in from other countries where their air isn't so clean. And the environmentalists refuse.
It blows.
Same thing with garbage. In Asia, they dump much of their garbage right into the ocean. And over about a 1 week and 2 week journey, it flows right past Los Angeles. You've seen it. Massive amounts of...
So he doesn't know how big oceans are.
Garbage. Almost too much to do anything about. Flowing past Los Angeles, past...
What do you think they're replacing it with? Nikola Tesla free energy?
San Francisco.
From the ether.
Because he dropped a cigarette on the beach. The whole thing is crazy. The primary effect of these brutal green energy policies has not been to help the environment, but to redistribute manufacturing and industrial activity from developed countries that follow the insane rules that are put down to polluting countries that break the rules and are making a fortune. They're making a fortune. European electricity bills are now 4 to 5 times more expensive than those in China, and 2 to 3 times higher than the United States. And our bills are coming way down. You probably see that our gasoline prices are way down. You know, we have an expression, drill.
Nós reduzimos os custos de energia porque nós falamos...
Drill, baby, drill.
Vamos fazer tudo isso, reduzir os custos de energia e os custos diminuíram nos Estados Unidos.
Common to see one.
Por exemplo, se você olhar nos países em
faturas de energia. 100 heat-related deaths 2030. Russia was given an old standard that was easy to meet, 1990 standard. But for the United States, we're supposed to pay like $1 trillion. And I said, this is another scam. The fact is, the United States has been taken advantage of by the world for many, many years, but not any longer, as you probably noticed. I unleash massive energy production and signed historic executive orders to hunt for oil. But we don't have to do much hunting because we have the most oil of any nation anywhere, oil and gas in the world. And if you add coal, we have the most of any nation in the world. Clean, I call it clean, beautiful coal. You can do things today with coal that you couldn't have done 10 years ago, 15 years. So I have a little standing order in the White House. Never use the word coal, only use the words clean, beautiful coal. Sounds much better, doesn't it? But we stand ready to provide any country with abundant, affordable energy supplies if you need them, and most of you do. We're proudly exporting energy all over the world. We're now the largest exporter. In the United States, we want trade and robust commerce with all nations, everybody. We want to help nations. We're going to help nations. But it must also be fair and reciprocal. The challenge with trade is much the same with climate. The countries that follow the rules, and all their factories have been plundered. It's really sad to watch. They've been broken. They've been broken by countries that broke the rules. That's why the United States is now applying tariffs to other countries, and much as these tariffs were for many years applied to us, uncontrollably applied to us. We've used tariffs as a defense mechanism under the Trump administration, including my first term, where hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs were taken in. And by the way, we had the lowest inflation, and now we have very low inflation. The only thing different is that we have hundreds of billions of dollars flowing into our country. But this is how we will ensure that the system works for everyone and is sustainable into the future. We're also using
such a joke, dude.
Security throughout the world.
He represents us to the world like this.
Including against nations that have taken advantage of former U.S. administrations for decades, including the most corrupt, incompetent administration in history, the sleepy Joe Biden administration. Brazil now faces major tariffs in response to its unprecedented efforts to interfere in the rights and freedoms of our American citizens and others, with censorship, repression, weaponization, judicial corruption, and targeting of political critics in the United States. I have a little problem saying this because I must tell you, I was walking in and the leader of Brazil was walking out. We saw him, and I saw him, he saw me, and we embraced. And then I'm saying, can you believe I'm going to be saying this in just 2 minutes?
Nobody can hear him.
We didn't have much time to talk, like about 20 seconds. They were in retrospect. I'm glad I waited because this thing didn't work out too well. But we did talk. We had a good talk, and we agreed to meet next week if that's of interest. But he seemed like a very nice man, actually. I liked him. But if you, and I only do business with people I like. When I don't like them, I don't like them. But we had, at least for about 39 seconds, we had excellent chemistry. It's a good sign. But also in the past, Brazil, can you believe this? Unfairly tariffed our nation, but now because of our tariffs, we are hitting them back, and we're hitting them back very hard. As president, I will always defend our national sovereignty and the rights of American citizens. So I'm very sorry to say this, that Brazil is doing poorly and will continue to do poorly. They can only do well when they're working with us. Without us, they will fail.
That's not how energy works. Good try, though.
Just as others have failed, it's true. Next year, the United States will celebrate the 250th anniversary of our glorious independence, a testament to enduring power and American freedom and spirit. We will also be proudly hosting the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and shortly thereafter the 2028 Olympics, which is going to be very exciting. I hope you all come. I hope that countless people from all over the globe will take part of these will be great celebrations of liberty and human achievement, and that together we all can rejoice in the miracles of history that began in July 4th, 1776, when we founded the light to all nations. And it's something really that an amazing thing came out of that date. It's called the United States of America. In honor of this momentous anniversary, I hope that all countries who find inspiration in our example will join us in renewing our commitment, values, and those values really that we hold so dear together. Let us defend free speech and free expression. Let us protect religious liberty, including for the most persecuted religion on the planet today. It's called Christianity. And let us safeguard our sovereignty and cherish qualities that have made each of our nations so special, incredible, and extraordinary. In closing, I just want to repeat that immigration and the high cost of so-called green renewable energy is destroying a large part of the free world, a large part of our planet. Countries that cherish freedom are fading fast because of their policies on these two subjects. You need strong borders and traditional energy sources if you're going to be great again. Whether you have come from north or south, east or west, near or far, every leader in this beautiful hall today represents a rich culture, a noble history, and a proud heritage that makes each nation majestic and unique, unlike anything else in human history or any other place on the face of the earth. From London to Lima, from Rome to Athens, from Paris to Seoul, from Cairo to Tokyo, and Amsterdam to right here in New York City, we stand on the shoulders of the leaders and legends, generals and giants, heroes and titans who won and built our beloved nations, all of our nations, with their own courage, strength, spirit, and skill. Our ancestors climbed mountains, conquered oceans, crossed deserts, and trekked over wide open plains. They charged into thunderous battles.
It's always the heritage.
And they were soldiers, farmers, and workers, and warriors, and explorers, and patriots. They built towns into cities, tribes into kingdoms, ideas into industries, and small islands into mighty empires. You're a part of all of that. They were champions for their people who never gave up and who never, ever gave in. Their values defined our national identities.
2013.
Visions forged our magnificent destiny. Everybody in this room is a part of it in your own way. Each of us inherits the deeds and the myths, the triumphs, the legacies of our own heroes and founders who so bravely showed us the way. Our ancestors gave everything for homelands that they defended with pride, with sweat, with blood, with life, and with death. Now the righteous task of protecting the nations that they built belongs to each and every one of us. So together let us uphold our sacred duty to our people and to our citizens. Let us protect their borders, ensure their safety, preserve their cultures, treasure, and traditions, and fight for their precious dreams and their cherished freedoms. And in friendship and really a beautiful vision, let us all work together to build a bright, beautiful planet, a planet that we all share, a planet of peace, and a world that is richer, better, and more beautiful than ever before. That can happen. It will happen. It will happen, and I hope it can happen and start right now.
That's right.
At this moment, we'll turn it around. We'll make
They'd lock him up.
Safer, more beautiful. We're going to take care of our people. Thank you very much. It's been an honor. God bless the nations of the world. Thank you very much. Bye.
They were just waiting for him to get done doing anything. Then Netanyahu comes to speak, and half the vast majority of the audience fucking gets up and leaves.
On behalf of the Assembly, I wish to thank the President of the United States.
They just get up and turn their back, which is pretty fucking awesome. Fuck Netanyahu, piece of shit. All right, guys, that's probably it for me. I wasn't gonna watch the whole video, but it kept getting worse and 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 worse. It is what it is. Thank you guys for joining us. Like I said, I'll probably do some longer shows this week. Mariah's out of town for the next 9 days or so I'll be around. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. If you want to support the show, do it at buymeacoffee.com/coldbeer. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for being here. We'll see you on the next one. Have a good night. Love you. See you. Bye. Life sucks, then you die. That's it.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the fork and balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the fork and balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord, head to the extreme. All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshipping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like Thor in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, beating his chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers. Cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss him off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss him off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Open his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped it to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16. High on amphetamine, with Trump in between. Put on a light coat of baby oil and saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is gonna be it." Whoa, wait. Stop. What? I'll get my files. Wait, what are you doing? Stop. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously. My mom's an alcoholic. Oh, give me a... Oh, my God. Damn it.
Oh my God, you're so fucking brainwashed, dude. Go suck his dick. We're done.
You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss him off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
Good night, guys.